My mama always said I would regret it if I ever got a tattoo. She said I'd never get a job like I ever wanted one with that attitude. My dad said I had to learn to drive a stack shift, but every van I ever had was an automatic. My friends said someday I would make it big, but I'm still living in the basement. I'm just as broke as the day I was born.
Damn, sorry guys, I don't know what I was thinking. This is the Tim Paul episode. We need to start with Tim Paul music. Have a listen to this incredible song. It's revolutionary. Original piece of music from Tim Paul. Welcome in. Let's set the fucking tone.
Did you think I'd leave you there? Did you think I'd never keep my promise to? It's easy when I'm lying there with you, and every night I dream of you, and every night I promise to hold on to the dream I one day wake up next to you. Did you know you left me there, staring at the heartache in my soul, as I fell to pieces into the one you're leaving for? There's only one thing I want you to know, is that I have found my peace here. Did you think I'd walk away? Did you think I'd break my promise? Not today. It's easy when I'm standing there with you, yet every day away from you. It's another day I break my promise to hold on, 'cause holding on is harder than I knew. Did you know I left you there, staring at the heartache in your soul, as your heart fell to pieces into the world you're leaving for? There's only one thing I think you should know, is that now you can rest in peace, dear. I only ever wanted you to stay. I only ever needed you. I only ever wanted you to stay. I only ever needed you. I only ever needed you.
Well, that was truly awful. Good evening. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing? Welcome to the Tim Pool episode. It's been ages since I talked about Tim Pool. I'm excited to talk about Tim Pool. I'm excited to talk to James about Tim Pool because it has been a little while. Good evening. We're gonna talk about something that isn't fucking Dogpack and Mr. Beast. I'm so happy. You cannot actually imagine how excited I currently am. Thank you very much. I can see people from James's community and chat as well. Welcome in. Be nice to them. They're lovely people. I always enjoy hanging out in James's chat. And yeah, no, this hopefully this should be fun. It's a little bit outside my standard wheelhouse these days to talk about somebody like Tim Pool, but I promise you, there is a lot of lore. There's a lot of ridiculous shit. It's going to be really fun. And just as a quick update to run things, because people have seen our thread for the legal stuff and the criminal case investigation slop. Yeah, I will probably have an interview we'll probably have a video for that. I did an interview with Cam Nuggets last night. Now, I've listened back to that interview. The audio for it is fucked. I completely bollocksed it up. I'm not sure how I did it. It's like very staticky, so it probably won't just be a release of the full interview, but I do think it has some cool bits in it, so we'll stick that into the video. Now, I will say this. I love episodes like this. I love doing streams on things that I've looked at before and tried to do something on, because I have a ton of Tim Pool videos, footage, stuff like scrolled away literally on my spare hard drive that I was like, I'll use that at some point. So I actually didn't have to do much pulling, which is really nice, but I will have to grab through the stream some standard stuff, because I'm going to be honest with you all, I've been playing Space Marine 2 and I've been quite lazy. So without further ado, let's see if we can grab a James from the internet. If this actually wants to work for me, that'd be quite nice. Discord has been driving me up the wall recently. There we go. I think that's working. That's quite nice. I'm now in a call. Lovely. James from the internet. How you doing, bro? How you doing? Can you hear me all right?
All right. Huh. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
This is a new one.
I can hear you.
Huh. I wonder why. Okay, well, I definitely blame Obama. So that's a thing. This is a new one for me. Hold on. Let me see.
No worries. Take
I literally feel like I
time.
was just on the call like 2 days ago.
I need to sort of set.
Oh yeah, let's do this.
Set up that anyway. There we go.
There we go. That's much better. Apologies.
No worries. No worries. I'll put you on a screen somewhere where it makes sense. How you doing, bro? Thank you, Boogie, for the 199. The beanie took over. There is no Tim Pool anymore. That's true. We'll get into that.
He is part man, part beanie. That's fair. It's like permanently fused to his skull. People are always like, does he always wear that? I'm like, I don't think he has a choice. Like at this point, it's just meshed with like his head flesh. And it's just sort of like it's been incorporated.
I mean, that would be better for him, because then people could stop stealing it. Fuck. Do you know? I think the first conversation we ever had was about Tim Pool, and that was a while ago, right?
Good Lord, it has been a hot minute. Although to be fair, I'm at this point the passage of time goes right by me, so it all blends together into like one giant never-ending live stream.
That's just an depressing indictment. I remember when you started doing the blood test stuff for the audience. God, that's been a while as well.
Oh God, that's been over a year. By the way, kids, we all should have listened to Wilford Brimley and eaten more oatmeal. It turns out he was right.
I don't know what you're talking about. You've turned it into great content.
On that one.
You've turned it into great content, and that's really what's important. That's really what matters.
Yeah, that's me turning diabetes into content. So yeah. Well, pro streamer over here. You know, some people might call it bad. I just call it content. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you. We appreciate you dropping by. Because since I moved to YouTube, I've been absent from the political space. chilling out over here, trying to cause other kinds of chaos. I guess so. I'm not sure how to do this. I know some people don't actually really know who Tim Pool is. Why don't you just tell us who you think Tim Pool is and why you know Tim Pool? That would probably help.
Okay, so I guess for those of you in your audience who don't know who Tim Pool is, obligatory comments, something living under a rock. Uh, so Tim Pool was probably best known at the time for being like the Occupy Wall Street live stream guy. Uh, literally down in Zuccotti from almost day one. That's not to say there weren't other live streamers. Occupy Wall Street had an OWS live streaming account. Tim Pool was just like some dude who showed up. He was actually from Chicago. He was like doing skateboard videos. Like him and his brothers showed up. Like one of the first, they were like, "Hey, this is cool. Let's go do this." Um, like there were a lot of other live streamers. Luke Rudowski from We Are Change, who's now on the Tim Pool show. He was like first wave live streamer. Global Rev, which was Global Revolution Live, aka Global Rev, which was Vlad and a whole bunch of other people. They were streamers there. So there was like an OG streamer community, but this is back in 2010, 2011. So we didn't have the advantage of platforms at the time. We're now like you just people just accept like, oh, I could just, bang on my phone and I can do a TikTok live and broadcast in 4K from my fucking phone. Like people don't really think about it much anymore. It doesn't have Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, like YouTube. Doesn't matter. Like you just it's something you take for granted. Back in like 2010, whole different animal. So just being able to live stream was sort of like a big W to start with. Like that was like the first time there was ever like protest with live streaming that wasn't just the TV network with a cameraman with the tripod cameras and some talking head in the studio, and they just like it's background noise. Like it was the first time ever you could do that, and you really had to like it was janky as hell. Like you would do like jury rig stuff together. And Tim Pool, which I know people who do know Tim Pool like to joke that he dropped out of school in 5th grade and doesn't have a high school education. And, it's not that any of these things are incorrect, but it turned out that Tim Pool was somewhat of a low end coding nut back in the days when coding firmware and hardware was not like a thing a lot of people did. So he ended up basically like with the best live stream out of anybody at Occupy Wall Street. He was just better to tune in electrical devices. He ended up building the first ever what again you consider now like the DJI drone helicopters. Him and Brad from Act TV and a couple other people, there were like 3 of them or 4 of them. They were the ones to build the actual first live streaming drone, like using like a big ass remote control helicopter, and they literally mounted a camera to it. And like Tim knew like basic basic coding, and he like figured out how to firmware all that shit together. So I know we're gonna spend a lot of time pooping on Tim Pool, but it's at
Yeah, I
least
mean
like,
his
it's good
like
to point out why
his like actual
he was relevant.
history
Yeah.
is fascinating for that stuff because he's like really been on the cutting edge of quite a lot of online journalism.
Well, I don't know about online journalism, online presence, online coverage, but please don't, please.
But I mean,
Please.
to his credit, like the way that people do online journalism, particularly on the right, is basically informed by Paul's style. I mean, when you look at people like James Allsup back in the day, that is somebody who I doubt anyone in chat is going to know who the fuck that is. Thank God, frankly. But it's, Tim kind of solidified that style. And also, he's got a similar path to a lot of people. I don't think many people really remember that Baked Alaska, this Groyper high-end right-wing guy arrested for storming the Capitol, started on BuzzFeed talking about his perfect date being with Justin Bieber. It's a weird path a lot of these people have taken. So
Well, Tim's is outside the like. Tim was literally like the first, like even before like he became a right wing guy. He was one of the first people to quote like build celebrity out of live streaming. And again, back in the day, we're talking about like I was one of what you would call like the OG first wave live streamers. So I used to stream with an iPod 4 Touch. and a 2G wireless hotspot. And I thought I was the shit because I like figured out how to do that stuff. And Tim was literally building drone helicopters with live streaming capability. So like his he ended up on the Time magazine like most 100 important people of the year list. Like, he was like a finalist for like the Time Man of the Year in like, I don't know, 2011 or some shit. Like, he won like a whole bunch of Webbies. But I'm not joking about this. And like after Occupy died, like basically Vice was like, here, we'll give you a whole bunch of money and stock option to come work here because you're now the daddy of live stream. And, you know, now at this point, live streaming had started to evolve. And he was still like cutting edge on shit. Like even after, and again, this might be, I don't know if it's early or late, depending on your audience, but because of what first wave live streamers did, apps like quickly got developed. They weren't mobile apps, they were desktop apps. So you had to do a lot of janky shit using a phone and a computer out in the field, but you had Ustream, Livestream, Bambusser, and these all developed out of that. After Tim finished fucking up at Vice, because he's, to my point earlier, he's not an actual journalist, they figured that out. And he went to go to work at Fusion, because they didn't know, and Fusion gave him money and fucking stock options. He was in between that phase. He actually helped to develop and build the YouTube mobile app that you all use today. He was literally the original beta live tester. He was the only one who had it on his phone, and he worked with the YouTube development team to develop the first mobile app. I was like the 20th person who got it because I got it from him after like they started doing proof of concept. So like, I just need to remind people that like all these other people like got into being right-wing talking head shit long after the hard work had been done by other people. Like everybody else who came after Tim Pool came through just being, I'm going to be the squawkiest, and I'm going to be the douchiest, and I'm going to be the most whatever of the right wing. And I'm just going to flip on this convenient technology and blab until somebody notices me. Because we're going to take an hour or two to shit on Tim Pool after this, again, I want to remind people, Tim Pool is the only one who got there by actually doing anything.
Okay, so, well, that's true. I want to say two things very quickly. Firstly, guys, as always, I always appreciate super chats and everything else. What I'm going to do tonight, because I've got James here, is I'm probably going to take sections out to read them rather than interrupting things. But you know I love you, and normally I don't do that. But I think what's interesting about kind of like Pool as well is the people who've surrounded him, like his brother. Like, you know, my obsession with Reactor. So Tim Pool's brother is a guy named Reactor. And he is a genius, actually. He is an old school guerrilla style troll. He messes with the algorithm. He basically, you know, this is a guy who, to TLDR this, he had a fight with Grade A Under A, where he started making fake videos that looked like Grade was endorsing him, and then he paid YouTube to have that played before his videos, so people thought that Grade was actively endorsing him. He then used the algorithm on Reddit to get his posts put to the top of it, so all Grade saw on Reddit was this one guy with 1,000 subscribers. He had no idea it was Tim Pool's brother, basically destroying his career.
Do you remember the weed balloon?
Yeah, I remember the weed balloon.
Tim's brother first went viral and got famous. If any of you remember this from even like Facebook or like early Twitter video, there was this viral video of like police driving behind like a Chevy Blazer or something, and they had their lights on, and like the Chevy Blazer is like slowing down, and then like a window opens, and you see like a balloon go flying out the window and go flying up. And it was like, apparently like they had weed in the car, and that was how they got rid of it. And the cops couldn't get the weed, so they couldn't bust them. It turned out the whole thing was staged, and Tim's brother made that and leaked it online in such a way that people thought it was actual like dash cam video from a cop car. And it was like one of the most viral videos. Like, watch people get rid of their weed from the cops with a balloon. Like, it was like the dumbest thing ever, and everybody fucking fell for it. That's Tim's brother. He's the Uber troll.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of insane. Actually, I wanted to ask you about this. So a little while ago, and I've got video for this, which I'll probably watch with chat in a bit. But So Tim has a rough relationship with his family. He fell out with his sister last year quite badly. She released a video saying, "I want the old Tim back. What's happened to my brother?" Do you believe that is real?
I mean, if I had to bet, I would say yes. I can't, I can't confirm or deny. Like, I don't know Tim's family, obviously. I think his dad is absolutely hilarious. If nothing else, you like that the Pool family learns from each other because Tim is such the online marketing genius that at some point Tim Pool's dad decided to start doing live streams about people's reactions to Tim Pool, and he literally named the YouTube channel Tim Pool's Dad. You can go ahead and look it up on YouTube. Like,
that's
so,
yeah, that's
so
very
if
impressive.
nothing else, the family is learning from each other, if nothing else.
It's like a hive mind.
Like a culture of cancer cells. They're growing and evolving because of the cells next to them. It's a whole ass thing.
So let's start with the current stuff. Let's talk about Tenet. Now, I want to say very clearly that when everyone went fucking crazy at me over progressive victory and me being like, hey, big political orgs coming in and giving people a load of money is going to potentially have influence and could lead to problems in the future, like it has on the right, this is what I'm fucking talking about. It's almost like I was completely fucking correct. So, now, I don't want to... I've had so many DMs of, you were right, do you want to come and talk about PV and why you were right? So I'm just having a little victory lap. But
it's worth it. We started calling them progressive dementia back when it was Joe Biden.
Yeah, it is kind of fucking wild. I think I want to say this actually very publicly while I've got like 2 seconds. For everyone who is paid by PV, who has said my content is not influenced by being paid by being paid by PV, I would be saying exactly the same things. I want to know, what is the issue then with the Russian government coming in and giving these people money if they're not influencing the content? If Tim Pool is correct and he would be saying exactly the same things, why shouldn't Tim Pool be allowed to take a load of Russian money? Why are you all outraged? It's almost like you understand the implicit issues with something like that. Fucking isn't it? Right. Okay. Now, so
for the record, that's been his third tact he's taken since this broke in 48 hours. First it was, I have no idea what you're talking about. Then it was, I'm the real victim who got $5 million, but I'm the real victim. And then it pivoted to that. So he's definitely, if nothing else, he's following the Tim Pool plan of bamboozle them with bullshit. This is, his go-to move, which is if you just go blah and put enough shit out there in enough directions, nobody knows where to look. And you're like, I don't fucking know. Like when a squid panics. Yeah, it's like when a squid panics, it just and it shoots out black ink everywhere, and they're just kind of coast. Yeah, Tim Pool. Yeah,
it's kind of insane. So like Lauren Chen is gone. Lauren Chen was the one sort of like middle grounding. She's in a lot of trouble. I think she might actually go to prison. Tenet Media's gone. Yeah, I think I've been dealing with all this like legal stuff with the Mr. Beast stuff. So allegedly, in my opinion, Lauren Chen is fucked and going to prison. But so Tim Pool has accepted, I believe the number is $400,000 a month from essentially a Russian government shell company to make content or to host content on Tenet Media's website or channel or whatever. Does this in any way surprise you?
Okay. Again, I'm gonna have to preface this with something just for just to clarify or put something out there. So I actually worked for RT for, I don't know, on and off 2 years, let's say. So
Russia was communist once.
Legitimately speaking, but legitimately speaking, what Tim Pool did on paper looks less shady than like what I did. Like legitimate, Tim Pool didn't get paid by like the Russian dude. He got paid by Tenet Media, which is a bunch of fucking conservative hacks who had an LLC in Tennessee. I was getting direct wire transfers from the Bank of Moscow every 2 weeks.
Oh, it's
So,
nice to know that the Bank
again,
of Moscow actually knows how to do wire transfers. They've really come on a long way.
they didn't know how to do digital payment. They only knew how to do wire transfers. The whole thing was a little shady, but after like the 20th time, I'm like, whatever, fuck it, it spends. So no, I'm not surprised that Tim Pool ended up taking $5 million from, the Russian government in the guise of a billionaire from Hungary who's just really into right-wing YouTube, English-speaking, United States-based media. No, of course, none of that seems ridiculous at all. What?
Do you know what the thing that annoys me?
Has anybody else come up to you? Like, has anybody come up to you and said, "Hello, Mr. Beckett. I am a wealthy businessman from Hungary. I would like to pay you $5 million to make content." Like, that's never happened to you, dude? Serious?
No, it's never happened to me, ever.
You gotta up your game, man.
Well, actually, I'm saying this, but right now, the entire anti-Mr. Beast fan base is accusing me of being paid by Mr. Beast, which I just want to say, if Mr. Beast, Jimmy, if you're watching at this point, you might as well just give me the money. I'm doing it anyway.
Yo, Jimmy, you want to lock me in a grocery store for like $100,000? I got nothing but time, dog. Call me.
Oh, fucking hell. Listen, it's been a very good week. I think I've destroyed the legitimacy of like 3 people. So yeah, no, it's been good. We've been doing some heavy research, and we basically dug up a load of things on this guy Dogpack. I want to be very clear. While I am joking, Mr. Beast and what Mr. Beast has done at his company seems really bad. The Chris Tyson stuff and talking with minors is really bad. I feel like I have to add these provisos, even though I have said this constantly and was the one who originally was the first person to leak Chris Tyson's general Discord server. Apparently, I'm still bought and sold. Anyway, so with what's happening currently to Tim Pool, how bad do you think this is for Tim Pool?
Okay, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and go with something wild here. Okay, unless something fundamentally changes with the evidence they apparently have, i.e., everything that was listed in the DOJ, the sheet that they released, the 30 some odd page indictment, things are actually going to go better for Tim Pool than they have been. So right now, Tim Pool has the very, very valid argument that, quote, "I'm the victim." And from a legal standpoint and on paper, he is not wrong. Because at the end of the day, like if you go through the indictment, it says that Lauren Chen and her husband knew that this guy wasn't, like a Hungarian businessman or whatever, but was in fact somebody from the Russian government who gave the money. Because again, if you go through the indictment, they show that they went through, and they actually said in the indictment in multiple places, went through private messages and private message threads on their Discord. So at some point, whether it's the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, the State Department, like whoever it was, somebody got Discord to turn, at the very least, Discord DMs, between people, if not entire Discord servers.
Do you think Discord's getting sick of this shit? Like, oh god, not again. Is it pedophilia again? Is it about children? No, it's not. It's about Russian hackers. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah. I'm so happy. You go and take everything.
Listen, it's social media. The bar is low. So it's how it is. But no, so seriously. So as of right now, on paper, it's the Russian government got into business with, a couple of conservative media people who owned a fucking a pass-through social media company based in Tennessee. And then that company contracted out the biggest talking heads they could and offered them a bunch of money. Now, from a realistic standpoint, anybody could make the very logical argument that if somebody comes to you and goes, "Hey, Mr. Gregorian and Mr. Kalishnikov would like to, they really like your content. And at some point you don't like Google, like who the fuck is Mr. Gregorian, like the calendar, or Mr. Kalishnikov? Like, so there are a lot of arguments you could make that like they purposely didn't try to figure out who it was. They didn't have to do due diligence. The only due diligence they had to do was on Tenet Media, because Tenet Media was the company contracting them. So again, from a legal standpoint, Tim Pool is like totally fucking free and clear. Now, if at any point during this investigation, there is either a DM with Tim Pool, or not even, let's say, if they keep going through all the Discords and DMs and people's cell phones of at least Lauren and her husband, and they find any kind of reference to either Tim knowing that it was a Russian guy, or, oh yeah, we totally think Tim knows about this, ha ha ha, like anything even in passing like that, I believe would legitimately give them the excuse to then go ahead and raid all of Tim Pool's shit and go through it. And then at that point, he's in a lot of jeopardy, because if they find anything, he's screwed. But as of right now, Tenet Media is the legal buffer zone. And while, you know, we can all joke about it, on paper, Tim Pool is the victim. And so you know that hogs love nothing more than playing the martyr. You know, oh, they hate us because we're Christian. Oh, they hate us because we're white. Oh, they hate us because we have a penis and call ourselves men. Like, whatever, like the dumbest of all, like, you know, basic ass martyrdom comments you can make. Like, they always take that shit. This one, this is huge. He could like ride this to the promised land. He could double his viewership on this, which is insane.
Yeah, it's a difficult one as well, because I think with Tim has a wealth of clips of him looking like an absolute fucking idiot. Through the years. And yet he has still survived, and he has a very insulated audience. And I actually think so my personal take on Tim Pool is this, for like other people dealing with him. I think people are kind of scared of Tim Pool, on the right. I think that there is a decent amount of worry that this is somebody who probably has information on basically everyone, who is probably seen everything everyone is doing, has been around multiple communities for years, and has survived all of it. And also, let's be honest, can control the algorithm, because I know at the compound that I have heard at the compound Tim is very interested in that. Tim decides what goes viral about him and what doesn't. And that is a very dangerous position to be in if you're a right-wing media creator, you know.
I would actually go a step further, and again, this is just knowing the progression and the evolution of Tim. Tim's like devil say die, devil may care attitude about just saying dumbass shit and just not even having to care about it. To be fair, as part of his like progress and becoming like the Tim Pool we know now, who's literally like the mouth head eating a hot dog from Eamon Animations, like that's who he is now. Like, it's not who he was. Like, he definitely built the brand like Tim Pool over the years, like himself as a brand. But he didn't really scale. Like, he had trouble scaling. There was a part in the Tim Pool world where like he was floundering, like after Vice, after Fusion. And again, I don't know if people remember going back a ways. There was like a 6-month span where he did these really like these stand-up videos, and they were like in an alleyway between 2 brick buildings in New York City. And he would basically do like his rant to the camera. And I don't know if you remember, this is like a very like, this was a short period, but this is where Tim Pool was flailing. It's before he bought property in Florida, which was the original compound. And then before he bought like, and during that time when he was flailing around, he really looked around, and honest to God, I think that he picked up the, I don't have to care about it, because whether I'm right or wrong, I say something stupid or smart, it's all like clicks and thus algorithms. He picked that shit up from Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Like Ben Shapiro goes out of his way to say dumb shit where he knows that fucking people on the left will share it and clip it and mock him because he knows every time the hashtag Ben Shapiro goes viral, all the fucking monetized videos that he has on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter gain more velocity. And back in the day, Ben Shapiro was one of the first right-wing talking heads to really spend a lot of money on Facebook targeted advertising, which, as you know, if you're a historian in politics and stuff, is literally what gave Trump the 2016 election, was targeted Facebook advertising combined with the Cambridge Analytics data. And Ben was one of the first people, Ben Shapiro was one of the first people to figure out that targeted advertising. And he used that combined with putting content in places where he knew people on the left would see it and mock him, which would essentially create what you would call like a data vortex. So now you have tweets that are looping among multiple platforms. And so this is how you're gaining velocity, which is what gives you virality. And he was one of the first people to pick up on that. And I honestly think Tim Pool saw that, and that was when he flopped to the I don't give a shit attitude, or it doesn't matter, you can't hold me to what I'm saying because you don't know if I'm lying or not. I could be telling the truth at any time. Like, he said that crap over the years.
I mean, yeah, his whole life story is weird. Like, his life story is all over the place. Some of it makes no sense. Some of it contradicts itself. I think it was Jeff Holiday who said to me that that when he met Tim, it was kind of like having a non-entity. Like, Tim has like no personality other than when he's talking about a specific thing. And he's very lots of personality, and then that stops, and he is like, it's almost like someone turns him off, which is kind of interesting, as well as like, it's almost like this, like there's a real Tim back in his brain somewhere who's just like sort of kicked back in a lounger and being like, I have to press the fucking crazy button for a second. I mean, I think what's sad about Tim Pool for me is, I think there is a part of Tim Pool who, I'm going to give an example. I know somebody who's like a good family friend, insanely successful CEO, lots of money, big house, really, really successful guy. All he wants to be is a musician. He loves music. He hates his job. He's like, I just do this because I was like, I need to make money, I need to take care of the family, want to be successful. And Tim's like that. I think Tim would be happier living in a rundown shack skateboarding every day than anything else. But this is kind of like the thing he's doing now. And it's almost like out of spite as well. I saw the Ukraine clip that's been going around. Now, I have checked out of a lot of online politics, but this Ukraine clip of the real enemy of America is Ukraine. They've dragged us into the war. They pulled us in. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you've been commenting on politics for like 2 decades. More. You know that's not true. You know that's an insane thing to say. And I think
I would hazard to guess Tim does not know anything about foreign policy. And everything that he gets from foreign policy, you got to remember, he has Luke Rudowski sitting on the desk next to him. And Rudowski's like, Luke Rudowski is a Polish Jew, for those who don't know, Polish Jew from, that area of Brooklyn. He's the original 9/11 truther, jet fuel can't melt steel beams guy. And so people like that who are always into the idea of, there's a cabal. We had a running joke about cabal today on my stream on Twitch.
I belong to like 3 of them. So,
if you unironically use the word cabal to describe like something you're involved in, you're automatically a douche. Like, that's just like.
Listen, we kept getting accused of being in them, so we started to set them up. Okay. Why not?
Like the cabal things are. But that's like, you have to understand, like, a lot of the people who Tim Pool works with know a lot more than Tim Pool, especially as it relates to geopolitical and foreign policy. So I honestly think he gets a lot of his stuff from the libertarian, globalist, Luke Rudowski, even to a certain point, fucking Alex Jones. Like, if there's something he doesn't know, he's just gonna he's just going to repeat shit that other people said around his cage that he heard. Like, I don't think he's a huge geopolitical guy. Like, it's impossible. I know there's a streamer problem where streamers have to act like they know everything about everything. but you and I who stream, we know almost nothing.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it's like fuck all. All the things I am
yeah,
expert in, like really expert in, are stuff that I never talk about online because that's how I make my actual money. I'm like, I don't want to risk that.
you don't want to give out the recipe to the secret sauce.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's legit, man. I get that.
I mean, my impression of Tim is very much that Tim doesn't believe anything. I've fought people on this. I don't think Tim actually believes this stuff. Like, I think he flips on a camera and goes, what's the take that is going to either go viral, appeal to my audience, or going to push forward some other thing I've got going on, or like set up a guest. Like, there's a tweet I saw going around to Bosky. Do you remember this right-wing Trump girl who like turned out to be like married or romancing some guy who went to prison for child porn or some shit? I've completely Kathleen or something like that. Anyway, she tweeted at him and was like, "Oh, I can't believe you had this person on. That's crazy. You shouldn't do that. It's really irresponsible." And he replied to her with a single tweet of, "I'm going to do it again." Which is like two people on his own side. I wonder whether, Tim Pool secretly like turns everything off, goes and like says goodnight to everyone. I'll enjoy the skate park, enjoy the hot tub, and goes and sits in a dark room and looks around and then opens a drawer and takes out the Communist Manifesto. And he's like, okay, I'm just going to relax for 5 minutes and remind myself who I am,
Well, I told you, for those of you who don't know, Beckett actually did a video a while back. He asked me to.
I don't think that ever came out. Actually, I think I completely failed. I
never
might
came
do it
out?
now. I might do it now,
Right.
but I'm better. I'm
Well,
better.
so I
I'm better
gave
than I
you-
used to be.
Hey, no, listen. So I had explained the like the origin story. Like, if somebody's a super villain, in like a movie, at some point there's the flashback to like, when they were a kid and it's a rainy night and it's all shadowy and something fucked up happens and it shows them all like horrified. There's like flashing lightning in the background and like, that's just supposed to give you the vague idea of the character story. So I will definitely say that like when Occupy started, Tim Pool was zero political. And so his angle was, I don't have a side. I'm just bringing people unfiltered media. And that became ultimately like the call, the Tim Pool message that really resonated with like mainstream and big money. And that's how he ended up where he was. Because it was like such like a novel concept of like somebody just standing there, turning on a phone, broadcasting, and they didn't have an agenda. And that was the whole Tim Pool thing. So for those who hadn't heard it, roughly speaking, during Occupy, there were a lot of what you would call black bloc or wildcat actions, where people would just get up and leave Zuccotti Park all dressed in like black sweatsuits and just go marching out somewhere at like 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to duck the cops so they could, I don't know, possibly go do something, not on the up and up or whatever. I can neither confirm nor deny this. So the running OG Occupy story is that Tim Pool would see them and go like running after them and turn on his cell phone and be like, you guys are going to go do something. I want to capture it from a neutral perspective. And they'd be like, oh, dog, we're doing black bloc. Like, get the fuck out of here. And he was like, no, you're out in the street. And thus it's my right to record you because you're in public and you have no right to privacy. And somebody just went, wow, and smacked the fucking phone out of his hand. And everybody like ran away and like went to go do their shit. And then it happened a second time. And that was the advent of the people trying to steal Tim Pool's beanie. Was the slapping the phone out of his hand. Years later, that like morphed into the trying to steal his beanie, which is why he no longer like broadcasts from the field. I know he only broadcasts from like a secure studio. So Tim Pool was very apolitical. I don't think he believed in anything, but he does very much strike me as like that wounded child who like, he remembers these slights against him that made him feel small. And one day, he's going to get his revenge. Like, I honestly feel like a lot of like the side stuff, like that's where it came from. But I don't think you're off on the Tim Pool doesn't believe what he's saying. I think every angle Tim Pool takes for clicks.
I mean, he's
been playing the algorithm game so long, he knows what he's doing. Like,
well, he's almost like, because I think this about Hassan as well. I don't think Hassan believes anything. So it's almost like Tim Pool is like the combined power of Hassan and Cenk Uygur sort of like shoved into one person and put on the right. Like, it's all the algorithmic business knowledge and all the just talk random shit and then lie about what I said later of Hassan. It's
I mean, you know, if Cenk was that much of an algorithmic massaging genius, he'd probably own a lot more apartment buildings. Just saying.
I mean, he'd have to stop talking about legalizing zoophilia for that to happen, and I don't know if he's that committed.
No, he's all his time and energy right now is focused on trying to find ways to make property value increase so that he can borrow against a higher amount of equity.
Well, I mean, how else is he going to become president?
Exactly. Yo, listen. Yo, those commercial ads in like 9 districts around the country where he's on the ballot, you know, they don't pay for themselves, buddy. You gotta make some shkarol for that.
So, with I've just got images now. Can you tell the audience about the Facebook groups? Of Tim going and joining Facebook groups every couple of months to argue with random people and then leaving. Okay. I like that story.
Yeah. So that was a thing. So again, in the dead zone, like before live streaming on Twitch and YouTube, like as a political talking head got big, like there was kind of like a no man's zone. Like when Tim Pool like first started, like Timcast, and it was like still building up, like it wasn't the monster it is today. Like, there are old Facebook groups that have existed since Occupy Wall Street. There are people who, like, all, like, lived in tents together in a concrete park for, you know, like a year, who, like, now loathe each other, but they're still in, like, these big-ass old Facebook groups. And, like, literally every once in a while, like, people would just be, you know, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's mostly left people. You know, it's mostly the left people because obviously it was Occupy. So it's mostly like people anywhere from, let's say, your average shit lib to like a progressive to, you know, socialist to full on commies and anarchists. Like the full spread of leftists now exist in those Occupy groups. And Tim's always in them. And like Tim, we keep getting more famous and more popular, more famous and more popular. And then every once in a while, like, you know, you're in a Facebook group with hundreds of people from Occupy who, you know, don't really, they're not talking heads. They don't have a YouTube channel. They're just like, you know, Doug. They work at a shoe store now. But back in the day, they
went so well.
Yeah, and they still talk about politics. And then every once in a while, Tim Pool would just like pop up in like a Facebook thread of 150 people who used to protest and just be like, but do you really think that's the case? What about this and this? And he put a link and I'm like, this dude's like busy building a media empire and he has the time to go like shit talk like liberal opinions in Facebook groups. Like that's some shit my dad does. He's 78. Like, and he just like randomly like, dude, don't you have like 3 million people on YouTube? And he'd be like, but this is very important. Like, but again, I don't think he was doing it for the politics. I think he was doing it for the argument.
Yeah.
Like he just like he would look at like, okay, these people believe this, these people believe this, so I'm gonna go with this. And I think that's the rough calculation he makes most of the time. Now, I could be dead wrong about this. And, you know, Tim Pool could be like, you know, leading protest groups and, you know, funding fucking, you know, readings of Karl Marx books and shit. Like, I don't know what he does on his free time. But if I had to guess, that, yeah.
I mean, it's a thing. It's the thing with Tim where, like the compound. The compound's so fucking insane. I don't know how, like, and unironically calling it the compound. Just like, we built a new compound, guys. We've got, like, and...
Well played, Koresh. Yeah.
There's still that troll element to him, because he did this whole thing with, like, putting videos of chickens up on Times Square, was it? Because he was, like, filming his coop with the chickens in, and then paid for advertising space in Times Square to have it played. Which is... obviously an insane thing to do, which makes no sense. But
and again, I mean, you talked about his brother, so I think it's something like, yeah, he's totally a fucking troll, man. But I don't think he's doing a troll out of like an ideological bent.
No,
like,
I think he just
does it because it's what he does.
Yeah, I think he gets bored. What? So I don't think I think one thing we didn't discuss was what why do you think the stuff with the companies happened? Because, so for those who don't know, a few years ago, Tim Pool owned companies with friends and family. Everyone like went away on some like retreat or trip or something, and then while they were gone, Tim Pool signed everything over to his own name and ghosted everyone and fell out with everyone for like 2 years, including his own family members. And I've never worked out why he fucking did this.
Okay, now we're really delving into me fucking, making some assumptions based on the rough stuff I know. Number one, I would say if you are ever that curious, there are two people on Twitter and or on Facebook whose content, if you go back through and you search for it, you will probably find it. One is Zach Robertson, I believe, and he's a photojournalist and live streamer. Zach Roberts or Zach Robertson. I can't remember which. You could find Zach. He's a photojournalist. He's on Twitter. He has his own like blue checkmark account. So he was one of the people, and another person would be Emily Molly, which I believe ends in an I. And they were two of the people that were basically on the paper of like the Timcast company, and they were two of the people who got screwed out along with Tim's brother. Now, when that whole story broke, I originally thought it was just Tim fishing for clicks because it had his brother involved. And I'm at the point now, anything that involves Tim's brother, like Tim's brother is the boy who cried wolf now.
Yeah.
Because like he's just trolled and fucked with so many people with so many fucking, fakes. This is before there were deepfakes, I guess. So like every time you see him, you're like, okay, whatever's going on here, it's bullshit and it's all a troll.
I mean, just to be clear, this is a guy.
A lot of people didn't believe it.
I mean, this is the guy who sold Superman merch as his own merch. Like he and like there's a really famous picture of Kanye West, Milo Yiannopoulos, and I think Nick Fuentes in a private jet being flown to Tim Pool's. And if you look in the mirror, what you can see is the person taking the picture is Tim Pool's brother, because you can see the fucking Superman hat. Like he knows exactly what he's fucking doing, because of course he does. So yeah, sorry, complete sideline, but go ahead. So what do you think happened?
So, okay, so this falls into another story, and this is actually one of the favorites of the community. So my people who came over for tonight, they've all heard this numerous times. And again, I am not the one who reported this. This is multiple other people reported it. But right around that same time, there was a meme going around that Tim Pool tried to kill his ex-girlfriend's cat.
Oh, fuck, I remember that.
Okay, so the story was that apparently Tim Pool had like taken his, I guess now ex-girlfriend or friend who was whatever, and took her cat and drove it to a kill animal shelter in Baltimore. Like drove from his compound in West Virginia, like while everybody was gone. And a buddy of mine named Joe, and again, Tim Pool lore, there was a documentary shot about a dozen years ago called The Hacker Wars. And there were a lot of people in it, including Barrett Brown. Tim Pool was one of them. There was another dude in that his name was Joe. He's actually an actor, Joe Fionda. He was on 2 seasons of, God damn, HBO show, not Jersey Shore, but there was an HBO show about like Atlantic City or the Pier or something.
Oh, I vaguely
like back in the day. Joe was in it. Yeah. So anyway, so he's like a real person. He's like somebody you could like go and Google and stuff. So apparently Joe had found out about this, and Joe, who was living in an apartment in New York, drove all the way down to Baltimore to go save the cat. Now, the story is those people that he screwed out of that company, and I told you one of them was named Zach, one of them was named Emily. They worked with him. They were partners with him. And I guess him and Emily were maybe or maybe not dating. And Tim Pool was maybe or maybe not angry that she's a working photographer and a live streamer who wanted to go out and cover events and this and that. And that Tim may or may not have wanted, to try to find a way to make her his trad wife. Because, hey, you should stay home and stop doing that. So hypothetically, Emily and Zach left to go cover something, I think in LA or something on the other side of the country. And hypothetically, when Tim Pool basically did the switcheroo with the company and signed everybody off of the company. Theoretically, hypothetically, it is possible that right after that moment, he then took Emily's cat and hopped in a car and drove to Baltimore and put it in an animal shelter.
Allegedly, from the
Boardwalk
memes.
Empire. Thank you, Gerald. So, but again, like, these are all things like if people are sitting in the chat and they're like, this sounds really weird. Like, if you Google, like, Tim Pool girlfriend cat, I assure you, you are going to find a wealth of content from multiple fucking places. I'm not just some weird guy you've never heard of who showed up on Beckett's stream, told a bunch of weird ass fucking stories and then left, okay? Like, you literally have the entirety of human knowledge at your fingertips with a web browser. Feel free to fact check any of this.
I think, but that's part of the problem with, like, Tim Pool. So much of it's completely fucking insane that you're just like, there's no way that's true. There's no way that's real, right? Surely that's not true, right? But then you turn out and you're like, oh no, he did do that. He did. What? Who was it that came on for like 5 minutes and then left? Was that Kanye? Was like God, like, I don't know if people ever sit down and watch Timcast, by the way. So for those of you who don't, for those of you who do, I hope you're having fun. But for those of you who don't sit down and watch Timcast, Timcast is completely insane. It is wild. It is one of the best shows on YouTube. I do not say that lightly, because Timcast is set up as a political and serious discussion panel where you've got all these people, all these talking heads, big names actually from the right, like Fuentes, Jones has been on there. You've got rappers who've been on there. You've got a variety of famous people, variety of paid actors. I mean, like genuine people who say what they believe and are doing it because they're there to make America better. And rather than talking about serious issues and coming to interesting conclusions, they have the most insane conversations I have ever heard. I mean, there's literally there's cases where, what's his name? Is it Ian? Ian, who?
Oh, Moonlord.
Yeah, who is
that's Moonlord.
who is crazy. He's crazy. So he doesn't really know what's going on. So he'll be saying something, and Tim will just be like, "Please shut up."
I like the other guy he brings on sometimes, who's infinitely more Christian than Moonlord. The guy with the short hair, who basically, like, his answer to everything is women shouldn't have any autonomy.
Do you remember?
I forget that dude's name.
Do you remember Jack Murphy?
That guy's hilarious.
Do you remember Jack Murphy?
Oh,
God. So Tim for a while was promoting someone named Jack Murphy, who ran sort of like, he's a Tate type figure. He ran something called the Liminal Order, which was a promotion of male Christian traditional values. Had a huge beard. He featured as Uncle Jack in some dude's webcomic, and he was like, no, we need to have these and people need to be real men, and then it turned out that this dude was not just a cuck. He was pimping his girlfriend out. He was actively sending her to get to punters. And Tim never spoke about him again after having him on the show multiple times.
Wait, you have to explain to the non-English people what punters are.
People who are paying for sex.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, interestingly, the way that came out, just because I love talking about Jack Murphy, he was on Sydney Watson's stream, and she read out a comic saying, "Hey, a super chat saying, hey Jack, can you answer the cut questions?" He was like, "I don't want to talk about that." And because it's Sydney just keeps talking. And then another one comes out and it's like, "No, seriously, can you answer the cut questions?" And Jack Murphy loses his fucking mind over this, like, just starts shouting at her, calling her a stupid bitch, insane shit. And everyone was like, there might be a story here. This might have some validity to
it. It's a rather aggressive reaction. Yeah.
But yeah, he's had a host of things. I mean, currently, what I find interesting as well is Timcast News feels both the same and really different to how it used to. It's almost how... Do you remember when we were talking before about making videos ages ago? I came to you from advice, and I was like, I need a way to make video. I still haven't worked this out, by the way. You'll notice from this channel, it's largely live streams. My videos are only just getting to the point where I'm in the right headspace. But you said, you know, create a format where you've got like a start, then you can drop things in, a middle, and then an end. And then you can kind of make content that's easy for you to make and get out there. Tim's almost...
Scale it, then scale it.
Yeah. Tim's kind of got this thing now with Timcast News. Like, he's got, like, Timisms, where he's like, my friends, there is a civil war. And it's just, like, there's almost, like, catchphrases that while he's thinking of the next thing to say, he'll, like, insert these little things, which is fascinating to watch, because his content didn't used to be like that. Like, you go back, and there's this real sense that Tim was at least thinking about the things he said, and trying to make like a unique point without talking like a preacher from an altar.
After you do 30,000 hours of content, like I've been so recently on the stream I've been introducing my political crowd to Harry Mack. I don't know if you were in today. We dropped some H Mac. So Harry Mack's probably one of the best freestyle rappers on the planet right now.
Okay.
But if you listen to enough of them, and a lot of freestyle rappers will tell you this, like even really, really great freestyle rappers, over time, because they rap so much, they'll have like comfort spacers, like something they know they can drop in for a 4 that is autopilot, and it comes out of a different part of their brain because it's the storage part of your brain, not the creative part of your brain. And so, you know, if you sit in front of a microphone and, you know, live stream for 30,000 hours over the course of a decade, like you're going to pick up like habitual idiosyncrasies in your delivery. And maybe sometimes stuff will change and evolve, like as you're exposed to other stuff. Like I recently noticed watching Timcast that he will now randomly drop into a Trump affectation, and not the way I do when I meme, you know, like when I meme and like I see, like anytime I see the word tremendous, like I'm now like it's a Pavlovian response, and I just go, it's so tremendous, really. People are saying it. Everybody knows. People come up to me on the streets. They're like, Mr. President, this is the most tremendous thing ever. Like because it'll just like get stuck in your brain from hearing it so many times. So like every once in a while now, you will hear Tim, and he'll do like a 4 count of like it sounds very Trumpy, you know, where it'll be like, you know, and he's going on his Tim thing, and then he'll go, it's pretty, you know, big, and then he'll like go back to normal, and you're like, did he just channel Trump for like 6 seconds in the middle of that?
I mean, I mean, that's a fun image, though.
It's exposure and repetition.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fun image that actually the Civil War thing is like now just part of his subconscious. Like he'll be talking about skateboarding or something. He'll be like, yeah, you know, sometimes you're just out there doing a 360, doing a flip, a little ollie, and then the Civil War begins.
I mean, he has. I saw there was somebody who put like a compilation post together of Tim Pool posts on Twitter of like all the times Tim Pool has tweeted Civil War. Like somebody just must have just word searched like at Timcast and then Civil War, and they put like 60 of them together. But that's again, a lot of people do this. I don't know. Have you seen a lot of the blowback recently against? Oh God. The British cocaine guy who used to be married to Katy Perry, who's not funny.
Russell Brand?
Russell Brand. So Russell Brand, apparently somebody did a very similar thing to what that Tim Pool thing where they showed all the tweets where he did Civil War. So somebody did the same thing of Russell Brand recently of the title of all his YouTubes. And all of his YouTubes are always like, you know, you won't believe what happened next, or this is the most outrageous thing ever. This is the most incredible thing ever. I've never seen anything this incredible. It's the most amazing thing ever. Like, and if you go through, like, you could go right now to his fucking, to like Russell Brand's YouTube page and just go through like the thumbnails and the titles. So again, this is the whole nail it, then scale it, which anybody who works at any production level, and this goes for manufacturing as well as, you know, artistic or creative or craftsmanship. It doesn't matter what you do. Like, you find something that you like and or you think works. You find a way to go from step A to step B. You get proof of concept, you nail it, and then you scale it and you find ways to scale it. And repetition is a huge way to scale because it reinforces your brand. It reinforces the hashtags and keywords. So, and again, this is a trick that people who now like live online their entire life is, how do I squeeze 2 more points out of the algorithm today? This is the shit that chronically online people understand and know how to do.
Yeah.
So it's not just Tim Pool that does the Civil War thing. Like a lot of people do.
Well, Cenk started doing it. You started.
Yeah, of course, because Cenk's fucking getting dusted.
I mean, do you know? Actually, I want to ask very, very quickly. Actually, we'll pause for 2 seconds. I'll read some super chats. I'll say hi to some people because it's been a little while. Good evening, Thuman, Braindead, Rocky, Q Hood. I hope you all having fun. Killjoy, nice to see you, and I know you were interested in seeing this one.
One sec.
No worries. Yeah, take your time. Take your time. Cryptid. Tim is the beanie. He possesses a new host every generation. Yeah, I think Will in his channel is trying to channel that. No, again, many of you will not know who that is. When he releases the next video, I promise you, you will know who Will in his channel is. Thank you for the 5. Ellington, I've officially paid Beckett more money than Mr. Beast now. Dance Monkey, dance for my peanuts. Thank you, Ellington. Much appreciated. Q-Hood, wouldn't be because there's currently sanctions on Russia put Tim in hot water because he took money from a nation that currently has sanctions on it. Again, I think that's going to affect Tenet more than it's going to affect Tim. Could be funny though. How are we doing, guys? Thank you for all for your patience and things. I know I'm usually a bit better at paying attention to you all, but it's nice to have James on. It's nice to talk about Tim as well. One thing I do want to talk about at some point as well. I don't know when we're going to do this. Have you guys seen the Nikocado avocado stuff? The Nikocado avocado stuff is way more fucking crazy than people realize. The Nikocado avocado stuff is some of the most insane things. Is one of the most insane things that has ever happened in YouTube, and people don't realize it. It's not just Nikocado avocado has lost weight. Nikocado avocado has trolled the entire internet with a plan that has been in the works for probably around 3 years. This whole thing was planned way ahead of time, and I can prove it. I can fucking prove it. I was sat in a VC with a couple of commentary people last night, and we were talking about it as it came out. And we were like going through the different videos. It was insane that he's done this. I cannot stress enough. Anybody who ever doubted Nikocado avocado, you can no longer do that. He is possibly the best creator on YouTube ever. I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw it, I was stunned to silence. It's the first time in years I have seen anything where I was personally actually surprised at something developing. And I think my exact comment was, I may as well delete my channel. I will never achieve anything this cool. Honest to God. Honest to God. TLDR, you'll have to wait for the episode because I'm holding it a little bit. We are going to talk about it. In fact, I may go live for a special one next week to talk about it and walk you through it, like a short stream to walk you through it, because it's incredible. Or I might make a video, because it really is amazing. Teddy with the $4.99. Okay, but if America does have a civil war, can it be pedos versus racist this time? I don't know. We are getting there. We're running out of content though. 2024 is insane. There's going to be nothing for 2025. We're all joking that Toastify is going to be the only content creator and commentary able to make content in 2025, because he's just going to make retrospective videos. So we are currently planning his downfall. I've been a long time avocado watcher and I was floored. Yeah, Thuman, it's insane. Insane. If you've been a long term Thuman, maybe that's a good one we could talk about together. Teddy with the 4. I always knew Nikocado avocado was a genius. I cannot believe how smart Nikocado avocado is. I absolutely salute that man. I was completely bamboozled, as were we all. Welcome back, James. How you doing?
Hi, that was the most Hassan thing I ever did. I just left an empty chair to stream. That's some Hassan shit. I've never done that. I've been on Twitch now for almost 5 years. I've never done that. It felt nice, I gotta say.
It's
very free.
It's quite nice. Why don't we pivot slightly? Because I don't get to talk to you very much. I mean, the last time we hung out, we were playing Baldur's Gate. Actually, I think that was our last hangout. Never again. Are you playing Space Marine? Are you gonna get Space Marine?
No, I'm currently playing a Squirrel with a Gun,
Well, I mean,
If
it
you
did better
haven't
than
seen it,
Dustborn, so that's
I mean, it's you literally play a squirrel with a
yeah,
with a
I've
gun.
seen it. Good.
So there's that. So I'm currently playing that. I'm mostly trying to not buy games because my Steam is just a pile of games that I never played. That ooh, this is on sale. Um, I'm trying very hard to hold out for State of Decay 3 next year.
Oh, that is
That's
quite a
I
holdout.
think that's going to be my yeah. So I have some time. So I still like I noodle around with Manor Lords. I still noodle around with No Man's Sky, which is uh, I have a love-hate relationship with No Man's Sky because they've somewhat ruined the video game industry because now every AAA studio just goes, "Oh, it's okay. We'll just release the game 80% done, and then we'll yada 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 No Man's Sky, and it'll be fine." Like
I
everybody
will
just
say this:
just
then the
release
new
the
game,
shitty game and make it better.
their new like fantasy game that they've said we're just going to make a world, we're just going to make an entire planet in detail, have fun. I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. Okay, so
Light No Fire, yeah, when it comes out, yeah,
yeah, that'll
Light No
be
Fire should be out. I think spring of next year is
yeah.
what they're shooting
Well, I'm
for.
waiting for Monster Hunter Rise
Yeah,
as well. So that'll be
nice.
amazing. So, and what I've got here as well, we'll come back to Tim, but we touched on Hassan. We've touched on, obviously I did a lot of the Demon Mama expose stuff, that has happened recently as well. What do you think of the state of the online left?
I think the state of the online left is a reflection of the left, and I think the online right is very much a reflection of the right. I think a lot of people, it's the chicken and egg psychology of tail wagging the dog. Like there's a whole bunch of different analogies you could use for this. But at the end of the day, I think creators fool themselves. Me being a creator, so I'm saying this from my own standpoint. I'm not like pooping on other people because again, I've been doing this since like 2010. Um, I think creators fool themselves into thinking that they're trendsetters and that they're the ones who set the topics of conversation. And if they have enough influence, they can, influence the national dialogue. And while none of these things are wrong, um, if they didn't exist, all of those other parameters and actions would still exist. And I think, even like your best political React streamers at the end of the day, they're literally reacting to a news that is happening or content that other people have typed. And, and then saying, oh, I'm going to reply to this tweet. Hey, I'm going to make 2 hours of content about this. Like, we're all content creators. There's some days where you just have a ton of content. And there are other days where you're just fucking, you're slow roll ham dogging it, trying to act like you're not. Like, I'm a very honest content creator. So yeah, I really think like if you look at the state of the left in online spaces, and then you look at the right, it's very much indicative of the society of it, which is like the right wing is usually a smaller portion of the overall populace, yet they will have bigger demagogues as opposed to the left, which is more diverse, both in its people and the specific views and ideologies of the people within it. And so on the left, I think you see more talking head creators, but you don't see as many that get to the sort of demigod status because the right wing and conservatism at the end of the day is about trying to take all this massive society and things that are going on that move in every different direction and take them and go, oh, we need to bring this back to the old school, to the classic, to so I think it's all almost like a feedback loop between society and creators and the content that goes out there. So I don't like look at like left online creator spaces and like think that it's any shittier or worse than the left in general, in the US. I'm sure this is different in places where you have more than two political choices and you don't live in a constant duopoly, where you have more illusion of choice and you have more variations and parameters.
Isn't it funny that I mean, this about me. I'm your audience members will be disappointed to hear that I am a classical capitalist, but let me defend myself slightly in the fact that I'm a big believer in like actual choice. Like I don't in the same way some people have said Russia isn't really a communist nation. I've argued that
Oh.
America isn't really a capitalist nation. Like, it's not, philosophically capitalist. And it's very funny that the nation that is sort of the poster boy for capitalism has some of the lowest diversity of choice, which is the whole point of capitalism. It is market freedom, especially politically, of any nation on the planet, outside of actual dictatorships or places like Russia where you can't do anything. With how things are going with people like Hassan and everything else, do you think that that's become a distraction from any like real political change, or any like, I don't know, more reasonable voices come in? Because I think this is what's happened on the right. I think now on the right, you look at Tim Pool, you look at Sargon, you look at Ben Shapiro, you look at Crowder. I think there actually isn't a room for real right-wing creators to actually come in and have a voice. They won't get any poise or purchase.
The right wing's very reactionary, though. So if somebody sparks their interest, they get quickly adopted and go big. Like, we love to make fun of the MAGA rapper, who's
There's a MAGA rapper?
who's the. You don't know about the
I didn't know about the MAGA rapper. There's a MAGA rapper?
Okay. So one got successful, and then instantly 100 clones popped up like him. So the original, somebody in chat's gonna have to type me his name. You know who I'm talking. Forgiato Blow. Never mind. I got it before they did. His name is Forgiato Blow. His father is the person who created Auto Trader magazine and is worth like $40 million. But he's all on the, yo, dog, no, I'm on that grind. I do my own thing. So he's like the MAGA rapper, and he came out of nowhere and started making MAGA raps. And he could literally write them and record them in a day because they're garbage. He blew up and got huge. And literally on any given day over the last 2 years, if you go onto iTunes and look at the #1 selling track of the day, it's Forgiato Blow. He's had something like 87 #1 hits on iTunes. Because again, hogs are very concentrated. And if you get into that fucking hog cycle, all the hogs push your content because there's only like a dozen of them, and they all pretty much have the same ideology. So they all use the same content. Like if you go to Twitch and you go watch 20 Twitch left, political streamers in a given day on just chatting or politics, even though they're all some variation of left, they will all cover different content. Oh, well, this left person watches Majority Report. Well, this left person watches Submedia. Well, this left person watches Democracy Now! Like, hogs aren't like that. They all like, what's the hog subject of the day that we're going to be outraged about? And then we're all going to beat that to death. And then tomorrow we'll find out what the new thing is and we'll all do. And it's not like they all agree on doing it. It's just they all understand that their audience, if they're trying to, if they're catering to hogs and they're making conservative media, single point issue, make it very easy to travel from point A to point B, which is the thing that happened, and then my cockamamie conclusion as to why it happened, and then draw the straight line really quickly.
Do you think that's partly
that's just the formula, and they all know it?
Do you think that's partly because, traditionally speaking, on the left, I mean, you've got people like Destiny, Vosh, Hassan as kind of the big names, and then you've got people like Pondering Politics. You've got like a lot of different panels, and people will constantly fall out with each other and then make content on each other's drama or on each other's political takes, whereas that doesn't seem to happen so much on the right anymore. Now, on the right, it is, because it used to, we go back to 2016, there used to be very similar things of internal fallouts where people were still making content. But generally speaking, now, if you fall out with Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, or like any of the big creators, they'll just never talk to you or about you again. There'll be no audience share. You get like no exposure because you're seen as like a crazy person on the outskirts, and you get very quickly denounced. I mean, you can see this happening actually with kind of Blair White at the moment. Blair White is kind of denouncing Lauren Chen and Tenet Media and being called a traitor for doing it. Like instantly, people like sort of tweeting, oh, well, Blair's sold out, it's absolutely fine to take money from Tenet. So like you've got that much stronger singular narrative that everyone has the same creators they like, whereas on the left it feels like everyone has their creator they like.
Well, again, I think that has to do with the fact that on the left, if you just talk about the basic ideology and thought process of being on the left, you're going to invariably end up with more skews and more variety because, whereas conservatives want to take everything and push it into, one tiny little pipe and have everything flow through the same pipe of conservatism. The whole idea of being on the left is about, consent. I mean, to a certain extent, free will. I know like libertarians have kind of co-opted free will, but again, I like to, remind people that libertarianism and anarchism spring forth from the same exact place during the Age of Enlightenment, when everything was the concept of free will was all the rage. So it's very much a left concept, even though hogs think it's a right-wing concept because libertarians talk about it. So people on the left in general, you tend to get more variety because there's more there's a larger variety of subjects that you're willing to cover because you don't need everything to be in the same pipeline. And that, the whole idea is I might not agree with this, but hey, let's, talk about this because this is a thing that exists. And if we want to have, people understand our cause, we have to understand other people's causes. Like that's more of like the underlying like societal thought process of the left, as opposed to on the right, which is we need to hammer everything that falls outside of these very narrow parameters of what we consider to be moral normalcy. And so everybody on the right will essentially have the same take about almost everything. Whereas most people on the left will have similar takes, but different skews.
Well, I mean, it's really interesting now hearing Tim do this whole kind of Christian bit. Like, this has become really common. Oh, yes, we need to be good Christian people. Like, all these heathens who don't love Jesus kind of thing. You can see that has really grown on the right in the past about 7 years. But if we go back further, we can see everyone was a fucking atheist. Everyone was an atheist. Everyone was questioning because that was sort of the linchpin where a lot of these people came from, which was the atheist community. That was the origin of all the whole anti-SJW skeptic stuff. And now on the other side, the people who were the origin point of that community, people like Amazing Atheist, are, well, leftist streamers, essentially. I mean, he's a law story in his own thing. Let's be fair, but
so yeah, that's its own thing. I don't know. I might have to chew on that. I don't know. Give me another skew on this. Maybe something will click in my head. I'll come up with something golden.
Well, I mean, it's.
I will say this. So I tell people, and again, you have to understand. So I look at stuff a little differently because even though you're looking at content, you are still somewhat UK brained, whereas I'm completely fucking US brained. So there are a lot of times if I'll talk about like a, like if I talk about liberal, like if you talk about liberal party, those are even two different things, like in our two countries. So here, there was a social phenomenon that happened. It was before Trump, but the Trump thing has accelerated it. So over here in the States, maybe like, let's say like 15 years ago, there was a recycle of granola leftism, which is everybody got into yoga and Reiki and being fucking vegan or, being fucking gluten-free, even though you don't have celiac disease. This is where Jenny McCarthy got really big for writing her anti-vaccine blogs. And this appealed to like liberal soccer moms in like suburban Colorado, liberal people. That social skew here in the United States is completely gone and has been 100% co-opted by right-wing people, majority of the libertarian bent. Your Reiki mommies, your crystal daddies, veganism is like fucking huge now with conservative hogs, which, again, like the stereotype of the hog is I eat red meat. And yet, like, more and more of them there. And a lot of this was there were right-wing grifters at the time, stuff like Joseph Mercola with Mercola.com, John Adams, who is somebody who's going to have to tell me what Adams was. I can't remember his website. David Avocado Wolf, David Icke. Like, all of these people were sort of right-wing, Crystal E. Granola. Like, these are the people that lead to fucking J.D. Spears going from being a liberal comedian on Facebook to being like a juiced up libertarian hog now in his videos. Like, all of that is part and parcel of that same social movement. So again, it becomes the tail wagging the dog. Are creators doing it because the people in their sphere are changing? Or is it because the people who took over that sphere then obviously need to have new media demagogues to study and worship? So it's tail wagging the dog again.
Yeah, I mean, I what I find like fascinating is I like to I've obviously watched a lot of these creators on both sides for years, kind of like picking at their lore, like working out how the kind of functions of them are. What I find interesting about kind of certain people, and Paul is definitely one of them, is that they don't seem to follow the trend as much as set it. And when I'm looking at kind of like where he is now, you know, when he got a compound, for example, when he built a skate park and everything else, he has that sort of uber masculine thing. Like he's like, oh, you know, we go shooting, we have guns and everything else. But if you look at his like old studio setup, he had a sword and like a flintlock pistol on the back, which is it was so weird. That was such a weird thing. You've got all this minimalist kind of setup, and then a musket. Like, why? Why have all the like none of these things match? And again,
it's appealing to the base.
Yeah.
And that's what conservative media is all about, appealing to the base. So when you talk about a lot of people who either were atheists or you would view as atheists taking a lot of Christian stuff, again, I don't know how it is in the UK. Here in the States, roughly 15% of the country is evangelical Christian, meaning hardcore, like they actually believe like there's an old white dude with a fluffy beard on a cloud surrounded by dead flying babies playing harps, watching 8 billion people masturbate at the same time. Like they actually believe that's a thing. Like evangelicals are like legit. And the thing about evangelicals is if you get them, your built-in audience is hardcore. They question nothing. They support everything because they're extremists, because they believe in the most wild ass interpretation of Christian theology, and thus are susceptible to white Christian nationalism. But there are people who operate solely on faith. So these are the easiest people to capture. And if you capture them, you will own them wholeheartedly. You just every once in a while have to sort of make a nod to them so that they're still feeling heard. But they are the easiest people to do because they're literally the people who are like, oh, the rapture is coming. And these are the people who like every year on Facebook will like tell you what day the rapture is going to happen. And then it doesn't. And they don't even bat an eyelash. And 2 weeks later, they put up a new date for when the rapture is going to happen because somebody else happened. Because that's where they're at. They will just completely forego the reality of the rapture didn't happen and move right to when the next rapture is. So if you catch those people, that's gold. That's where the money is. Those people will live poor and give all their money to televangelists. They will live poor and give all their money to fucking talking heads on the right on YouTube. Those are the people who make $1,000 a month, but give out $50 super chats just so they can hear Tim Pool say their name. That's all that is. That's like the number one built-in audience because they are 1,000% loyal. If they have decided, it's like the Trumpism. Like these people will literally just ignore the reality in their face. Like, hey, this guy paid for a whole bunch of people to get abortions. Hey, this guy cheated on 4 of his wives. Hey, this guy was fucking a porn star while his wife was pregnant. Like, you could say all those things and they'll go, yeah, but he's a really honest guy. And you're just like, that's it. That's it's a phenomenon called willing suspension of disbelief. And evangelical Christians are 1,000% ensconced in that practice.
So with people like Tim now, do you think that Tim hates his audience?
Don't all content creators hate their audience?
No! I love you guys. You guys are great.
That was the
my audience. Answer. My audience hates me. That's not the same thing at all.
Yes, the cycle of scorn. Yes, I know it well. We have a meme for it in my community. The mods frequently put it up to, remind me. Yes, it's the scorn fest. You are either rebuking your community, or your community is rebuking you. Just whoever gets there first. No, that's the thing. I don't know that Tim hates his community. Again, I think Tim has literally been sitting in that chair talking about nonsense for 30,000 hours. Like, honestly, like the trope of like the 50s office worker, in the States. So it's somebody who came home from World War II and then, got an office job somewhere and they start drinking at 10 o'clock in the fucking morning and, they slap their secretary. Like, it's a whole, like, fucking, like, cultural weird ass trope that we have in the States. That was like the perfect example of like what just being psychologically burnt out look like. I honestly think my dude is burnt out. Like, look, as a content creator, somebody who live streams a lot, like a lot of me feels burnt out. Like, I get that. Like, when you're like, and again, when you're chasing the algorithm, it's content creation. It's always, I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long it is until the mob comes for me and I'm canceled, or I just lose my shit and stop streaming. And you just put your head down, you fucking grind. And you're like, cool, got through today. Tomorrow's another day. I just think that's where he's at because I could understand this. Like, I only have about 8,000 hours of streaming. He's got to have like 30,000. Like, that dude just cooked. Like, nobody can do 30,000 hours of live content and not be cooked. Like, you're like, Pat Sajak tried to leave fucking Wheel of Fortune like 3 times. And they're like, you can't leave, Pat. We'll give you like $40 million. He's like, I am sick of these fucking people. I don't want to read these stupid fucking clues any longer. I got to look at Vanna White one more second. I am going to go outside and punch a fucking kitten in the throat. Like, but they were just like, here's $40 million. And he's like, oh, fine. Like, same shit. Same exact shit.
To be fair, I kind of get why Hassan leaves the chair on. Like, I mean, I've said this. I stream like 2 days a week. I have a full-time day job, so this becomes like my secondary thing, my thing I do for fun. But even I'm even feel burnout. The thread we put out with basically like a full breakdown of why a guy almost definitely doesn't have any domestic violence charges against him. We had to go through North Carolina court records. We had to go through, like, we talked to like 2 different lawyers. That thread of 10 posts probably took us a combined time to put together of 10 to 12 hours. And it's like, and that's just for a Twitter thread. And you're just like, I know streamers who just sort of go, what's the current content? I'll put that on. I'll be honest with you. If we streamed every day on this channel, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. That's one of the reasons it's 2 days a week, because of the amount of prep time everything we do takes. It's just a Twitter thread. But and again, I kind of get why Tim's fallen into this place where he's just like, I've got a studio, I can press the go live button, and we'll talk about it. And I kind of wonder, what do you think the future for Tim is? Like, what do you think his like next 5 years looks like? Do you think he's ever going to stop? Do you think he's going to give up? Or do you think he's going to keep being a massive dick on the internet?
Dude, listen, $1 million a year, no dollars a year. I think that would still be the case. But again, I think that's just built into his desire to be a troll, as seen by his brother and all the weird ass trolling shit he does. Like, even yesterday, like after all the Russia shit broke, like any normal sane person, like your lawyer would be like, cool, put on the best of Tim Pool for the next 2 weeks, put down your fucking cell phone, don't tweet, and shut the fuck up. Like, you're literally mentioned in a federal indictment. You should shut the fuck up. What does Tim Pool do? He goes onto Twitter and he immediately adds like the fucking Israeli flag and the Ukrainian flag to his name on Twitter. like he can't, like, the power of Christ compels you. Like, he cannot help himself. Like, he's that dude. So $1 billion or no dollars, he would still be the dick doing that. Like, it's just ingrained into who he is. I honestly think because he does have that weird sociopathic tendency, like to your point, where you're like, sometimes you feel like he's just like, like he's not there. Like he doesn't have a belief system. Like he's just like, this is just a thing he does when the light turns on. And then afterwards he puts himself in a dark room or whatever. Like, yeah, then he's just going to keep going. Like if he can do that, where he can just kind of turn off and just be a weird ass fucking character online. Like every day he does that, every week he does that, every year he does that. That's another whatever it is, 1 million, 2 million, $4 million. So he's in that autopilot groove. Like, I think he's going to go as long as he can. I think he has the capacity to go full Rupert Murdoch.
Oh yeah.
But I think he could do it. I honestly think like he could like what Tenet did with the Russian money, I could see Tim Pool wanting to do with his own like self-funding thing. Like having a larger network where he has other like because he brings all these other creators on with him because he knows he can't carry a 3-hour show. And that's why he has like 4 chairs in the studio and he always has 4 other people so that he can bounce something off of them and then sit back and listen to what everybody says and then cherry pick it. He's found the path of least resistance to still garner that audience, make that content, make that money. So as long as he can do that, I could see him continue to do it. Like if he got any kind of backing, I could see him scaling and, becoming like Ben Shapiro has with Daily Wire kind of thing. Where, now you have other people making content under you. You have different content SKUs. Like he has an animated show called Freedom Tunes. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've seen Freedom Tunes. I have fought in the comments with the creator of Freedom Tunes about the British healthcare system. I'll be honest, I actually quite like the creator of Freedom Tunes. I think that he's an asshole, but like in like a very hard to hate way. And the problem with Freedom Tunes is it's funny. Like there are elements of Freedom Tunes which are funny. It's kind of like do you remember Murdoch? From back in the day. Murdoch was a very, very far right cartoon show. Insanely far right. Basically, the whole meme was this guy named Murdoch who was like trying to bring around the Fourth Reich in America. But in that, their primary target of making fun of was other right-wing creators. So, like, for instance, there's an episode where they're like, oh, we need to care about our optics and have better optics to reach an audience. So we'll go to Nick Fuentes to learn about optics. And they go to Nick Fuentes and it's like everyone's wearing Catboy ears. There's loads of gimps. There's Milo in a hot tub with a load of kids. Because their target of fun was their own side. They had an episode on JF Garepi where, like, it taking the piss out of the lizard chick girl. So that kind of thing I think is really valuable. Freedom Tunes is like an incredibly toned down version of that, where it's like it'll make a little bit of fun of the right wing, but only enough where they won't get cancelled and like destroyed because they're again terrified of speaking honestly about some of the dumb shit that happens. I suppose the thing with like things like Freedom Tunes as well, and the people that Tim's bringing on to support him, do you think that his long-term goal then, if not media empire, is basically a lasting legacy? Like he created, like he can look at all the other creators and go, I made you, kind of thing.
Dude, that guy's not even having children. What do you mean, man? What do you do? That guy's gonna leave nothing behind but a fucking smoking crater with like a beanie on top of it. Dude, I don't think listen, we've all made fun of the Malding Tim clip where I play it at least twice a day on my stream where he's like, I'm 37. By the time my dad was my age, he already had 2 kids. I don't think it's me. I just think it's everybody else. And there's like a woman who's on and she's like, oh yeah. Like, Tim can't even get that lasting legacy going on. And again, I think part of this is burnout, part of it's bitter. I don't see Tim concerning himself with legacy. I can see Tim concerning himself with how much power can I accrue so I can troll more people and make more money doing it, and the money is an indication of how good of a troll I am. Like the age old I did it for the lulz. That's Tim. I honestly think that's his larger motivation. Like I could see him wanting to build a media empire because it gives him more power and more sway to do more wild ass shit, to bring more things under an umbrella, and more people say, oh look, it's the Tim Pool empire. But again, you think Tim's having fucking kids and, passing equity and legacy along to them?
I'm sure he'll spawn some eggs of some kind at some point.
You know, there needs to be a second person involved in that process, right?
Nah, no, come on, dude's basically an amoeba. I'm sure he can like sort of like split himself in two. That's why he wears the beanie. Like it's actually a bald cap under there to hide the egg sac that pulsates under his under it. I do have a question from chat. I have to ask because someone paid money. Tell us about the time you nearly got paid to work for Tim.
So your reminder that Mr. Braindead, your mod, is a dick. Number one, just throwing that out there. Thanks there, MBD. I appreciate you.
He's good. I keep him around
yes,
so that I can make Jewish jokes. That's the only reason. He's a shield. Go on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like it. Cannon fodder. Yeah, makes sense. So it's why the English lords kept peasants. Yeah,
pretty much. Listen.
Okay,
I'm upfront about
guys stand
colonialism.
Yeah, there you go. All right, fine. So there was. Remember that time I told you about that like 6 month or 1 year span where Tim was making those weird ass videos in an alleyway and he didn't really know where he was going? So I think he had somebody who was shooting the video for him at the time and then doing the editing. And like, he didn't like it because you could see the jump cuts and he wanted it to look like he just did like a 5-minute monologue. Like, you know what Bo of the Fifth Column was doing until he burnt out and then stopped and his wife had to start doing it? But Bo would do like the whole 4 or 5 minute monologue in his little shed, but he could pop the whole thing out in one shot. So Tim Pool wanted to do that, but he couldn't. So he had to write it and then like do a few sentences, do a few sentences, do a few sentences. And he hated that there were jump cuts like in between the sentences and he couldn't. Tim didn't. Again, Tim worked at fucking Vice and then at Fusion and he couldn't figure out how to use an interstitial for an edit point. For those of you who don't know, if you watch a video of a talking head and they're talking and then they say something about like pollution, then all of a sudden it'll clip to like 3 seconds of smokestacks. And then the smokestacks disappeared. It goes back to the person on the microphone. They keep talking. Right. They put that there so that you can't see the edit point for where they either fucked up or stopped and then started again.
Yeah, I literally gave up doing those because
point.
my whole thing would be interstitials. I'm really bad at this.
I get it. So Tim Pool, basically that's what was going on. And he didn't put it, he wouldn't use the interstitials. And he just thought that the person he had either shot it poorly or didn't know how to edit. And at the time, I was helping Luke Radowski at We Are Change, the 9/11 jet fuel can't melt steel beams guy. I was helping him at the time because he had like 70 some odd Facebook pages and websites and this and that. I hate editing. It's something I absolutely hate. And so I didn't do any of that shit for Luke. I did like website work for him. And at some point, Tim texted me and he was like, he had put on Facebook that he was looking for somebody to do blah, 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 blah. And I guess nobody got back to him or nobody competent. So he had reached out to me and he texted me. Unless I'm remembering it wrong, I met him at a Taco Bell, a block out of Union Square. And over a chalupa, he offered me a job to basically shoot and edit his alley videos. I had to explain to him that I didn't like editing videos and it wasn't really, and he's like, oh, but you did this for Luke. I'm like, I edited like 2 videos for him and then I stopped because I fucking hate editing videos. So at the time I was a merc. Like I would just go out and live stream and I would sell my footage to anybody. I would sell footage to Fox News. I sell it to CNN. Like it didn't matter. Like I've worked on political campaigns. Like if you work on a political campaign, you're a merc. You can't have an ideology. Like it's a profession. Like so you got to get that shit out of your head when you go to work. You know, like I worked at reality TV and I fucking loathed it. Doesn't matter when you show up to work every day, you do your fucking job. Same kind of theory. But I was like, dude, I have no desire to sit around and edit like, you know, Tim Pool videos, like, you know, where it's just Tim's head, fucked up teeth, just fucking screaming into a fucking camera from like 2 feet away. Like I couldn't do it, man. But that was the closest I ever came to working for or with Tim. Other than that, I would just say we were contemporaries who would, you know, end up in the same press pen a lot. We would end up on the same trains, you know, coming back from protests and shit like that. Like, because there's a certain amount of security culture involved when you're field live streaming, you're at a protest, especially in a place like New York, which has such an insane security apparatus and, you know, cameras everywhere. You tend to not go around solo because you get plunked off in a subway station and, you know, you literally get black bagged and then they shift you through 5 different police departments and nobody can find you for a week. Like So in general, like people who were out live streaming, you tend to just you'd have that attitude of like, you know, we're not friends or this and that, but like we're all gonna meet at this place, we're gonna roll together, we're gonna, you know, go to this protest, we're gonna make sure everybody, you know, gets out and gets home kind of thing. But yeah, it almost happened. I'm glad it did because I might have ended up in the compound, and then I wouldn't have met my wife because, you know, incels.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, that's a point. I don't really know much about Tim Pool's relationships and everything else. Like, I mean, he's had girlfriends. I'm convinced he's just waiting until Elon builds a robot woman and he'll just buy one of those. But
You know, like, do you really want to know about Tim Pool's love life? Because knowing
Yeah.
about Tim Pool's love life leads to imagining Tim Pool's love life, and then you hit that point where
I already
you know,
imagine him with a fucking
nausea.
egg sack. Come on.
Well, that's right. You watched that video I played today with the 40 different Tim Pool heads. Yeah, that was good shit. Yeah. You know, supposedly Tim dates, I guess. I mean, I would assume that Tim would want a trad wife, and so if he had the opportunity to get married and have a trad wife, he'd have done it by now, I would guess. You know, he's right around what? He's 40-ish now. 40,
Is he
42
really?
maybe
Is that...
40, somewhere around there. Somebody get Google. He's somewhere between like 38 and 42, I would guess. I'd probably still late 30s. I'm maybe thinking. So I don't know if he's thinking about that. I don't. For all I know, Tim's the guy who's like gotten sperm removed and he has it in a sperm bank. And when he's like 80, he's gonna do like what Elon Musk's dad did, and you know, end up with like an 18-year-old wife. Then he'll go, "Here's my sperm in a tube," and you know, anything's possible, man. I try not to really think about that. I'm more concerned with what he's doing on the daily on camera than, you know, what he's possibly doing in the compound after the camera goes off. Like,
Well, the stories I've heard about the camera compound after the camera goes off are crazy. They seem really weird. The way Tim sort of works with the star, it feels, oh god, this phrase gets overused so much, but he literally has a compound and it does feel a bit like a cult. Like, and I'm taking this from his sister's statements of what he's like, because his sister went to live with him, and I mean, the way she describes it is he basically treated her like a maid or like hired help, that he didn't really like. He's like no interest in his nephews or anything else. And it is a bit weird to build a compound and your friends have to come to your compound to see you. You know, that's proper prepper kind of shit.
So when he was scaling the compound back in the day, before the show really got fucking huge, the running joke was like it was the incel compound, and he had like, you know, eight like, you know, dudes living there, and they were all like chained to their desk, and they got like free room and board, and in return they just like typed like monkeys and edited all day, and you know, he had them in the incel basement. It was like the big running joke. So at the time, I was working with a media group called Act TV, which was based in New York, and they did a lot of like a lot of political content. And we had a lot of what you would call like heavy hitters out of like that independent media world that sort of sprung up like post Occupy. You know, a lot of people who ran like really super viral stuff, like the People for Bernie Sanders, which was a totally social driven campaign, and you know they did something like, I don't know, 13 billion in like click views in 1 year. Like we had people who had insane websites. Like I ever for US Uncut, there's like a Facebook page website, and we did more opens than like Mother Jones. Like so like people who were heavyweights. And Tim knew them like either by reputation or again, you know, it's small when you get to media groups and people locked into press pen. Like there aren't all that many of them. You get to know each other. And periodically over time, he tried to poach numerous people from Act TV, just like the time he tried to hire me. But everybody he tried to poach from Act TV was a woman. Like me, he offered a job when he was doing his independent shit years earlier. But like all of the women at Act TV who were like accomplished, who had really good skills, he tried to like poach them and offer them a lot of money to like come work in the compound. And they were all like, "Yeah, dog, I'm not working in an incel compound." Like so I never know what it like. I don't know if he tried to get them to come over just because like all like the incels would be like a woman, and like he could motivate them to work faster. Like, you can sniff her perfume as I walk her through the room. I get back to work. Like, I on or if he was just trying to find like a live-in wife, like I have no idea. But like even he recognized that his content was very male incel skewed, and that they could use somebody who wears perfume.
I've never seen a woman be like, I'm a fan of Tim Pool, and who's not a content creator and trying to leverage that.
That's very interesting. So let me ask you on YouTube, because and by the way, I've made like for people who are like, he's a Twitch guy, like I made like 400 videos on YouTube. Like I spent a lot of time on YouTube, and I was making content for like ActTV and other orgs. So like I don't really look at the back end of YouTube much. Do they give you the metrics where you can see so you can see your viewing audience?
So I know that my male female skew is about 60 to 40 male to female. For example,
which is actually pretty good for a male content creator.
Yeah, well, I'm ginger and British.
Male content creators. I get that. Yeah, the effete thing. Yeah, that plays well. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Like I would assume, like Tim has looked at his content and he knows that his content is like 90-10. It's got to be. Like I can't.
Well, I mean, it's the Major Kill joke.
Out there who are like, I can't wait to watch Timcast today.
Well, it's like the Major Kill joke. Major Kill used to joke that his like entire audience was like all men and one woman, because he had like a 1% woman viewership. And then one day a girl commented on one of his videos, and they were like, "We found her, the one woman who is a Major Kill fan." But like, yeah, I mean, you can see your breakdowns in demographics. I can't imagine that Tim has like a massive female audience or anything, because like, but it's also not just the content. Tim is. It's interesting you use like the incel audience kind of like insult, because I think Tim is very. Like, he's a skater, he's got a very almost 90... He's one of these people who was like, early 2000s was my look, my feel, my life, and I'm never letting it go, and one day it will come round again. I think that's Tim's ultimate goal, actually. I've changed my mind. He is going to try and make the 90s happen again. I mean, I played his music at the start of the stream, and it's Nickelback. His band basically made a Nickelback song.
I would have said yellow card myself. Because it's got that slightly emo thing. Because again, remember, he does love being a martyr. Martyrdom, a huge part of the emo culture. Why always me? It's always me. Why does my heart break? Why does the universe do this to me? Boo hoo hoo. Here's 3 power chords. I'm out. Yeah. That's why his music's that. It's frozen in time. But again, a lot of people do this. Like Donald Trump does this. Like in Donald Trump's head, Donald Trump still thinks it's like 1986 and he weighs like 180 pounds and like he's doing cocaine in bathrooms with supermodels. Like he still thinks he's that dude. Like he's the only one who doesn't know that he's like a 320-pound dude with early onset dementia. He's like the only one who doesn't know that. Like, Tim could very well be in the same place where, he still thinks he's, 24 and fucking, bopping the emo rock in your car through the stock stereos as loud as you can makes you cool. Like,
I mean, I am looking forward to the day when he
goes through that man's head.
Well, one day he'll come on stream in like a shirt, a tie, and like a sweater vest and like no beanie, and just be like, "Yeah, I'm old now. I'm old. I'll be."
That will never happen. Have you ever heard my theory on what happens when people become internet famous? I have a great thing on this. So, do you remember who D. Ray McKesson is?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, D. Ray McKesson, black man from Ferguson or just outside of Ferguson. He became socially relevant after Michael Brown got killed and the Ferguson protest started.
Right, okay.
And D. Ray was a guy who like lived in the community, and he sort of became like a bridge between like the local politicians and like the community leaders in Ferguson down on West Florissant when all the protests were happening. And so D. Ray had one of those like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, where he has the orange puffy vest with no sleeves. So D. Ray had one that was puffy blue with no sleeves. And D-Ray kind of became somewhat social media famous and then became famous and got to the point where like he was even getting invited to the White House for like dinners with Barack Obama to have like discussions about, social issues based on race in America and stuff like that. And D-Ray would literally show up to the White House with a shirt and a tie wearing the blue puffy vest. Because whatever you're wearing once you become internet famous, you now have to wear that for life because it's part of your character. And the fear of people not recognizing you is overwhelming. So you have to look like your PFP, and both of those have to look like whatever you looked the first time you went viral, and that's what you have to do. And this is why originally people thought the Tim Pool thing was an affectation because he became famous wearing the beanie. And so people for a while thought the only reason he wore the beanie was because that's when he became internet famous and on the cover of Time magazine. And there's a picture of him with the black hat with the goggles on it. And so everybody thought that's why he wore the beanie. And then years later, we found out what was underneath the beanie. But yeah, he rolled with that for years. Like that's whatever you wear when you become internet famous, you're stuck with that shit forever. Forever.
Well, I mean, that's a trick. Never become internet famous. That's the trick. Vastly overrated.
No concern here. Not a problem I'm ever going to have. Not with my winning personality. No, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah. No fear of that. Yeah, man, dude, it is weird that like Tim Pool is a person who exists. There are days I wake up and I open up my computer, I look at the news, and I'm like, why is Tim Pool? Yeah, pretty much. And yet here we are. Like it's just content for days, man. And like I already know that no matter what happens with this, he's going to do something even stupider somewhere down the pike.
I really want him to tweet out, everyone's so mad about me being paid by Russia. No one ever talks about all the money I've taken from China. just randomly. That's
the shit he'll do. He would totally do that because again, he thinks in fucking troll, man. What he does, dude. It's yo, listen, like 10, 12 years ago, sitting in a park surrounded by protesters looking at Tim Pool holding a fucking, an iPhone 2 in the air. If you had been like, yo, dude, one day, this guy is literally going to control the pulse of all social right-wing politicking in the entirety of the United States of America, I'd have definitely asked you to pass me that crack pipe. Because you were obviously high as fuck. Like, nobody had this on their bingo card, man. And now it's like Frankenstein's monster. Now it's just out there eating villagers and shit. The people who made this happen are sitting up in a tower going, hey, wow, look at him go. He's really yeah. Yeah, you want to do something about that? No, I'm good, dog. I'm just going to stay here. Just maybe it'll tire itself out after a while or something. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. Why? What do you think? Do you think he's actually going to, do you think he's going to just like keep trucking along? He's going to try to scale to become a demigod. He's going to lose his shit and pop. Like, what do you think?
I think I think it's one of two things. I think actually Tim might be hitting the point where he's going to radically change content. I think he might be actually hitting at the burnout point. Because the thing is now, Tim's hit a point where everyone knows who Tim Pool is, and he can't really change how that image is kind of looks. And the interesting thing, again, watching Timcast and everything else, it is all the same. It is all the same fucking noise. And I think that the troll element of Tim is really fucking interesting and bored. I think it's bored. I wonder whether Tim will do one of two things. I think Tim will either try and go mainstream and actually try and go mainstream television news. He might just go, I'd make less money doing it, ironically, but that would be like a more interesting thing to do. Get like a national presence in the way that he seemed to have wanted to in the first place. Or I think the demigod route is actually possible. I think he may start. You know how you get like those Chinese like content farm places where it's like a load of like booths with like sex workers in them, all filming content next to each other for OnlyFans. Or like I think he might do that at the compound. Like, hey, you're a little streamer, come sit in the booth, and sit next to another streamer. It's all sound boothed in, and we can all make content. And none of us will admit this is all coming out of the compound. We'll give you a nice little setup. It'll almost be like a VTuber where it's like we'll make the set you want, and you come and live at the compound, and you make content for us, and we'll launch you essentially, and then you'll own that channel when you're done with us for like a 1.5-year contract, and then you go run out into the world. And you can have complete freedom of control of that content, except for when you can't.
So, all right. So, interestingly enough, what you're discussing here, this was actually the blueprint that Luke Rudkowski used when he created We Are Change.
Really?
So there's probably like 50 or 60 different We Are Change pages. Like he had We Are Change, and then he eventually made it We Are Change New York. And he used to literally do classes to teach people like guerrilla journalism and street journalism and how to shoot, how to like get into a building without a press pass, like stuff like that. And eventually We Are Change outlets like popped up around the country, and they would be, We Are Change Kentucky, We Are Change Louisiana, and they were all people that basically Luke trained. And then he said, here's the template for, what the main We Are Change website and Facebook page does, do a skew of this, blah, blah, blah. And so he basically like created,
it's like franchising.
Almost like franchises. Only he wasn't like tithing them or getting a kickback like franchises do. He just did it, A, to teach people journalism, and B, because it did help to strengthen his main brand. I don't see Tim Pool like that, because Tim Pool has absolutely no desire to teach people. Like that's the one fallback in your like.
But it's not about teaching, because Tim can already control the algorithm. He can already massage it in the ways that he wants it to go. And I don't think his rationale would be... I agree with you. I don't think he cares that much about legacy. I don't think his rationale would be, I want to teach people, I want to leave something, I want to make something better, or even like tie it to the brand. It's, I have an element of control over that. That's what I can push forward, and I can break if I need to. And if you've got enough control of... It's similar to the stuff that I argue with PV. If you've got enough little content creators promoting your thing just on the background, or, who feel a slight amount of influence or positivity towards you, that can drown out detractors very effectively. And if Tim can build channels that will do that, it actually... Because Tim's a single voice. And that's actually, even with somebody with that much power, is quite difficult. Like, there are things that can go wrong. Whereas if he's got, let's say, 50 different channels, all with, let's say, a concurrent viewership of 10,000 to 100,000, that is really effective as a way to kind of like push back on any criticism given to Tim.
Yeah, no, that sounds like too much work. Again, if we're going with the Tim is getting very burnt out thing, and I know you don't think about right-wing people, like they drop out and vanish when they hit the wall, just like left-wing people do. Like, you remember, like, Lauren Southern was just like, I'm out, peace, and she dipped out to go be a trad wife. Like, fucking Poopy Pants Gun Girl, she married the libertarian guy. Boom, she's done. She made like 4 trad wife videos and then stopped with her like awkwardly trying to chop tomatoes. Like, I like to make dinner for my husband, and like there's like pieces of carrot flying everywhere. I'm like, this is what you're making. Like she just like boom, she vanished. Like Cassandra Fairbanks, she vanished. Like fucking, there are a whole bunch of fucking right-wing people who used to be big. Like, everybody taps out at a certain point.
Well, the only reason the culturing's still around is...
Well,
the only reason the culturing's still around is because he was too boring for anyone to destroy his career. That's right. That's why Jeremy's around. He like absorbed all that audience because everyone else like had a scandal. I mean, I don't know how the culturing still has a career, because this is a guy who has made his entire life's mission to be annoyed at trans people because he got hit by one at a Magic the Gathering tournament. That's his major trauma. That's his like villain arc, So
It's always somebody being slighted. That's it. That's what starts the fucking the villain arc, and then you put on the Joker makeup and it's over. Like, that's it, man. You don't come back. Like, I've seen a lot of people try to do like the right wing to like centrist to left conversion, and you'll get a certain amount of support from libs who are like, look, we converted one, but by and large, like it never it never goes well. So like that's off the board. Like that's not going to help him. Like he's going to have to stay in this pocket, but I don't see him trying to make a conversion or a bend. I think at the point he either hits the wall or it just all like, it becomes too much. Like my dude can walk. Like you got to remember, like he got Vice stock and cashed out that stock when that stock was still like fucking valid. Like my dude is fine. Like if fucking Timcast went away tomorrow, I'm pretty sure Tim could fucking sell all his shit, buy something modest, and he would be good for the rest of his life.
I would point out that people said the same thing about Rikita. Rikita was like, Rikita never has to work a day in his life ever again. But it's quite clear that a constant cocaine habit kind of eats those funds pretty quickly. So, like...
Paul doesn't have the creativity to do drugs. Sorry, just straight up. Like Tim, no, I don't even think Tim drinks.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I think he'll have a beer or something, but like from what I hear, I've never heard of. And actually, in all the stories I've heard about Tim from people who've met him, I've never heard anyone being like, "Yeah, we were at a bar drinking tequila." It's always, "Yeah, he had a beer in his hand." Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's most.
I don't know. I'm trying to think all the times I smoked weed with all those people. Like I don't think he does drugs or drinks. I don't think he's straight edge to be straight edge and say he's straight edge.
Yeah.
I think again, it's just part of his personality quirk. Like, I mean, I could be wrong. He could be fucking, he could be fucking slamming dope in the side of his neck right now. I don't know, but I'm trying to think. I don't recall him.
Speaking of, when we were last chatting around Christmas
Speaking
time,
of slamming dope,
you said you were going to start smoking again. Did that happen?
I did. Yes.
Have you quit again, or are you still smoking?
No. I lasted about a year and a half. I didn't choose to quit smoking. I was very happy being a smoker, and I found out I had to have a surgery, and they were like, I got a cervical fusion.
Well, you said you were going to start again in January.
Yeah, so basically they were like, if you smoke while the fusion's taking place, it is a 40% failure rate, and then you'll have to get the whole surgery done again. And I literally had 6 screws countersunk into my vertebrae, and I didn't want to do it a second time. So I quit smoking for like a solid year and a half. And then like I got like the last appointment from the doctor, and he was like, "Yeah, you're good." And like my wife had been chopping at the bit, and the joy of living with your wife is now everything is codependent. You invariably both end up with the same health habits, the same sleeping habits, the same eating habits. It's what cohabitation does. Like it's very rare you'll find like people married or who cohabitate where like, let's say one smokes and one doesn't. It's kind of like an all-in lifestyle choice kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it became like a dissonant tone that got passed back and forth with us. So we'd be like, "Man, I do miss smoking. You remember we would just smoke? The good old days of smoking." And then one day we were just like, we looked down and we are like, "Hey, where did we get cigarettes from?" We were like outside smoking. That was it. That's how that happens.
Welcome back to the Cool Kids Club.
Yeah, I quit for almost 2 years, but I didn't choose to. And like, I quit straight edge, like literally like overnight. It's like, well, that's it. I guess I quit smoking. Like no gum, no patches, no nothing.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it.
People were like, "Dude, that's weird."
Well, like my mum quit smoking back in the day, and she quit with nicotine gum, but chewed nicotine gum for the rest of her life. It's because you develop a new habit.
See, my parents quit. They did that thing too. Like in like their 40s, they quit. And I don't think my old man ever had a cigarette ever again. And my mom was that person who like, if you were over for Christmas after she had like a glass of wine, the kids would be out smoking on the patio, and she'd be like, "Let me take a drag of your cigarette." She was always like that. My old man was like that guy who like, once he stopped smoking, that's it, no smoking. Like, he was that dude. And that's what I ended up doing. After like, I periodically tried to quit just because, social pressure, or this isn't good for you or whatever. And I tried patch thing. I tried gum thing. Like at the end of the day, you do all those things because you're not prepared to quit or you don't want to quit.
Yeah, I think
Like my old man
that's
told me that because he quit cold turkey.
yeah. Mine was the longest I lasted was 8 months. I was completely clean. I stopped doing everything, and then the way I quit was like this weird like alternative tobacco that some people will. It's not like nicotine tobacco. It's almost like composting. Um, and yeah, basically it's for people who don't want to smoke tobacco but still want to smoke weed. And I don't smoke weed. I've never. I think I've smoked it like twice, and I've never liked it. I'm just one of the people that's bad for me. But I realized after about 8 months. Well, listen. I'll do other things. I'm not like saying like all drugs evil. I'm just like weed was never a thing. But I hit this point about 8 months in where I was like, I actually just miss smoking. I enjoyed it, so I started again. It's like I was like, it brings me joy.
Like, now, you know what? I still like smoking, but I hate smoking now. And I never used to feel like that. Like I never used like the grossness of smoking never bothered me. But also to be fair, when I was younger, like I managed DJs, I booked nightclubs, like I lived in dark, smoky, bass-filled rooms, so like there was never a thought about it. Like I was always in a smoking environment. I grew up in a house where like both my grandparents smoked, both my parents smoked. Like if you're of an age, you grew up in a house where there were ashtrays filled with cigarette butts. So like the car ashtray had cigarette butts in it because people used to smoke in their cars back in the fucking airplanes. Like airplanes used to have ashtrays with like cigarette butts in them. Like fucking airplanes. So like if you grew up surrounded by it, like it was just like an accepted normal thing.
I mean, I'm the sort of person that like when I'm trying to relax, I'll sit down with a book and smoke a pipe. Like I've got a nice wooden proper pipe.
Do you have the jacket with the elbow patches?
I used to.
Jesus,
I wear a lot.
Listen,
it's one of these things. Like somebody said this about a picture that got taken of me, and I'm like in a shirt. I'm in a floral shirt with a tie and a scarf, and I used to wear scarves on stream a lot, but I don't anymore. And like a waistcoat.
Of course you did.
And they're like, you're constantly on streaming like hoodies and everything else. Is this what you dress like day to day? I'm like, yeah. I mostly just wear like shirts, ties. I really like ties. I have a massive tie collection. And then when I'm on stream, I'm like, I'm just in a hoodie and a t-shirt. It's all a facade. I'm actually just really posh.
So are you? So would you say are you a dandy or are you a fancy lad?
I'm neither. I'd love to be like I know it. There's a guy on Twitter who literally wears like 1800 style dress, like a proper dandy. And it's like really impressive. I'm like, I'd totally do that. That'd be great. No, I just like chinos and floral shirts. Floral shirts are great. I love a floral shirt.
To be fair, you do give off the Ascot vibe.
I did row in regattas as a teenager. So,
do you know the difference between docksiders and blukers?
Yes, actually. I can't remember it specifically, but I can identify that.
My dude knows the difference between boating shoes, dude. That's. Do you own one? Have you ever been on one of those fox hunts where you have to wear like the big hat and you're on the horse? And
no,
you have, like, the red
I did own a horse when I was a kid, though. To be fair to that one, I come from a long family of Irish horse breeders, so everyone has owned horses. Because it's just like the family thing. Like we're all taught to ride as kids. But like, yeah, I went like clay pigeon shooting as a kid, and everyone does this meme thing of Britain doesn't have any guns. I was taught to shoot rifles at school. We had a shooting range. So that was my childhood. Well, yeah, that was your corridors, right? For America.
No, I mean, there's always been like I know we get a lot for our gun culture, but like I think the gun culture we have that like when people talk about like conservative gun culture in the US is completely different from the culture of like somebody who like would shoot competitive rifle at like a high school or something. Because to be fair, in those, you're taught like basic gun safety. Everything you do is like built around safety. Which is actually like if you're going to live in a country with 700 million firearms and only 300 million people, like that should be the floor, is like basic, like,
Yeah.
the basic safety of gun ownership and how to be a responsible gun owner. And I would actually say people who like I shot competitive rifle, competitive archery, high school and college. Um, and I was never like a pew pew guy. Like I'm not like somebody who's like, let's go out in the woods and get drunk and shoot squirrels. Like I'm not that dude. Like
Yeah.
because I grew up learning about firearms the right way with like a healthy respect for firearms and firearm culture and firearm safety and this and that. So people who shot rifle, those are not the people who go on school shootings.
No, it's
That's a completely different
yeah,
thing.
no, it's a completely different bracket. It's Tim Pool's audience. It's that was a joke and satire for legal purposes. Look, this has been
Look out.
This has been really fun.
This is what I do. What do you normally talk about here? Just out of curiosity.
So Cope and Seethe is a heavy shitposty drama lore, well-researched channel. We tend to do like a mixture of deep dives into kind of like ongoing things, but we tend not to do mainstream drama very much. We kind of do kind of like interesting tidbits from around the internet. Occasionally, someone will take a shot and then get bullied. I think we're responsible for the deletion of 3 different YouTube channels at this point. That's actually not a joke. But we're mostly doing, I wanted to do like more lore and be a bit more focused on kind of like, because I used to cover all the like kind of furry stuff and like bronies and things, so we've done a lot of digging into that. We've done quite a lot of like expose stuff, and we do so recently with the whole Mr. Beast stuff. We talked to Chris Tyson's X Mods. We helped release those logs. We actually released those logs on stream. We were the first person to have them and release them, which was interesting. And we've kind of, at the moment, the last thing we've been doing is there's a guy named Dogpack who's going after Mr. Beast, which is fair enough. Like I've got no love for Jimmy. But he's lied an awful lot, and we sort of proved that his claims of working there for months weren't true. We've basically been dissecting his online history. So we went through like his deleted Reddit accounts. His old Reddit and his deleted posts. We've basically sort of just gone, this is who this guy is. And also we've just done a breakdown thread, which is quite detailed, as I mentioned, on like kind of, he made claims about one of Jimmy's CEOs, which just seem not to have any evidence behind them. So we do quite a lot of investigative work like that, but we do it in the most shit posty way possible, because then it's fun. So yeah, it's been good. It's been, the channel's been doing well. We've got a nice little
I'm glad you found a good niche there. I felt like you were somewhat frustrated and aggravated with Twitch as a platform while you were over there. It was sort of like an overarching feeling I got.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, it's quite fun to talk about some political stuff. The biggest thing I have is, obviously, I've got a master's degree in counterterrorism. I've got a degree in theology. I work in the environmental sector. I've got quite serious things around me. But it's not as much fun when you're talking to people who don't really necessarily understand what the fuck they're talking about, and are constantly trying to go, you need to listen to me and I have authority, and it's a lot of validation seeking. It's much more fun being over here in sort of like commentary where you can kind of just accept that you're dumb. There's lots of things I don't know. I don't have to be like the smart person in the room. I can just be an idiot laughing at things, and it's relaxing, it's nice. And yeah, I've enjoyed that. I think the biggest problem with Twitch and the community over there was it's actually way more vicious. Like, drama and commentary has this reputation of, I saw I think one of your audience members post in chat, this is the most I avoid drama like the plague. This is the most I've engaged in it in like a year. And the thing is, while drama YouTubers have this terrible reputation, most of us hang out day to day. I play D&D with people, I play video games with people, we'll laugh and we'll joke. And in Twitch, it feels like everyone's trying to gut you constantly in the political scene. They're just like trying to go, well, how do I take this person down? This person's racist, this person's transphobic, this person's homophobic, whatever, to try and discredit you and destroy your channel, and then potentially go after you in a real world sense, and that doesn't seem to happen anywhere near as much in commentary. It's quite chilled. Well, I know you know this. We could, young black economist isn't watching. We can certainly talk about it if you want to.
No, dude, it's just like Beetlejuice,
Fuck
man.
it.
You don't
Fuck
do
it.
that.
No,
shit.
we're over in commentary. Commentary. Let's talk about it.
No, this is how they pop up in a fucking mirror behind me in the bathroom. You said that shit 3 times. No, dude. Dude. Oh, no. Fuck. Now there's going to be fucking 83 tweets from 82 accounts that definitely aren't sock puppets. Now I'm going to have to stay off Twitter for another 6 weeks.
This stream has been really serious. I need to do something to cause chaos.
Oh, not that. Oh, man, dude.
You asked.
Look. Yeah, see, look at the chat. Even chat's like, he's not wrong, dude. That's how desperate. That's how desperate I am. I'm not pointing at chat going, look, chat agrees with me. And I'm a streamer who understands the first rule. He should never look at chat because chat is always wrong. And I know this because I am always the chat other than when I'm streaming. Fuck. God damn it, dude. Now I'm going to have to fucking spend 3 weeks hearing about how I'm a fucking Nazi pedophile. Fuck.
You can listen. I brought it up. You can just be like, he brought it up. He's a dick.
It doesn't matter. That's not how it works in illogical land. I don't know what kind of hecklers and stalkers you normally get, but again, I think you've forgotten about the magnitude of the fucking insanity of Twitch. Fucking dude.
I
man.
mean, you should see. Do you know what the most surprising thing about the current dog pack stuff I'm doing? Because I've if you look at the last video posted on the chat, it has 4,000 5,000 views and a lot of comments and a lot of engagement, a lot of people screaming at me on Twitter. The nice thing about that drama is, well, I say nice thing. The weird thing is, because I don't care, no one sent me any death threats this time, which is new. Normally, I'd be getting quite a lot of those. Normally, when I do an expose, but that's been a nice change. Well, I'm glad to spread some chaos. But I mean, you can picture me later. Don't worry, I don't think she knows about my channel. It's fine.
I think they to be fair.
Is it
they know everything.
Is it she they? Okay, fair enough.
I think they he.
Oh, they he. Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, whatever pronouns I'm happy to.
I'm not trying to be douchey. I'm like
no. You're fine. I am always happy to hear the correction.
Dude, man, listen. You want to? Oh God, yeah. I'm not. No, I'm good. I'm not gonna say a word, man.
No, you're fine.
Well, no. You know, I've heard Chud Logic talk about this even before. Where like, there's a difference between people who are shit posting about like what's going on in the real world with somebody versus people who are like actually involved in horrible real world drama with, whether it's stalkers or people who have sort of the weird relationship that they have with streamers, like parasocial shit. Dude, like there's like a line, like there's different levels of that shit, and like you never know what level of it somebody is until you like encounter it, and then sometimes you're like, oh no, like you like Fred ripping off the guy's mask, and it's like, Mr. Jones, you could have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for you meddling youngsters. Yeah, well, I did that, and it was literally like Spawn of Darkness underneath. It was like, yeah, dude, I peeled back the face of the universe to laugh into the face of God, and I was horribly mistaken.
Can I ask? Because there were a lot of Twitch people around, like people like Endless Cemetery, Poly People. I still hear from Viv every now and again. I know Polly got banned, and then I've not heard anything about her since.
Polly went to YouTube, flailed around for a little bit, and then caught fire. She was doing lives and she was doing them vertical.
Yeah.
And she got to the point where she was getting 30,000-40,000 views a
Wow.
stream on YouTube, like
Wow.
less than 6 months after being on YouTube. Like her shit blew up. Like blew up. It was wild. And then out of nowhere she stopped streaming. And somebody who knows Polly would have to answer better than like I don't actually know what happened after that. I don't know if she like went back into the workforce, if she decided to start an OnlyFans and then stopped streaming, because she had made mention to like a lot of people in her chat had been asking her if she was ever going to make an OnlyFans. And like so I would periodically come to YouTube to watch her stream, and then she just stopped streaming one day, and all of a sudden I noticed like, she hasn't put up a video in a month. And she started putting everything behind member walls. So I don't know if she ended up going OnlyFans. Or if she, went back out. Like I believe she did she worked in like finance initially before
Oh
before
yeah, no, I
Twitch.
remember her saying.
She's like you, like she has like an advanced degree and worked like high-end white collar shit for a while. I often wonder what happens to people who drop out of Twitch and you don't notice they're gone till a little bit, and then you turn around and you're like, whatever happened to blah, blah, blah? And then somebody be like, oh yeah, one day they just snapped. I haven't seen them in months. And you're like, oh, that's why like I hadn't seen you in months. And I was like, I didn't know what happened, if it was due to the somewhat interpersonal drama that you had because people who exist on Twitch. Like I wasn't sure what happened. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere I found out you had the podcast. Like for how tight circles are on the internet and communities, and
Yeah,
you find
people
this
do
through this, you find
vanish.
this
Yeah.
through this. People forget how vast the internet is because they go to the same places and they hear the same people every day, so they get the sense of familiarity with it. And I don't think people realize how easy it is for people to just literally vanish on the internet.
Yeah, and just
They're
yeah,
like right
I'm
next to you, but just
yeah, I'm constantly
poof, gone.
tracking certain people who come with like new channels and new like community groups. It's really, I mean, it is fascinating. I mean, from my perspective, I think the big thing is like a lot of people ask, well, why didn't you dual stream? Why didn't you dual stream to the Twitch channel?
I get
And
that a lot. Why don't I stream to YouTube?
yeah,
I get that a lot.
I realized really quickly, like in the first couple of streams, if I wanted this channel to work, I couldn't dual stream, because what people don't realize is they're like, well, you get it on both platforms. It's like, yes, but you split your audience in two, which means both your chat's smaller and feel more isolated. And I was like, this isn't the Beckett channel anymore. This is Cope and Seethe. The content is actually radically different. I used to do 8-hour streams on Twitch, and now it's just I'll be live for 3 to 4 hours on YouTube. It's very prepared content. It's not just random reactions. Like we have basically a no video essays rule. Like if you go through our live, every single thumbnail has images on it of what's in it. They're all titled so you can easily find them. Like so, my rewatch, for example, on lives is really high for that reason. Because I get views on streams from 6 months ago. Like I'll get like 100 views randomly when it's relevant to a drama. I think one of them got like 1,000 views like a week or two ago, just on some random off chance. And I was like, it's going to be very different. It is this channel now. And so that's why I just vanished from Twitch. And because I was also leaving the politics sphere, I've not really talked about Twitch poll people. I mostly just talk about, more widespread drama or the more specific things I'm finding. So it's just very different. Also, frankly, I can say more crazy shit on here without getting banned. I don't think I'd survive on Twitch very long these days. I think, it's still pretty tight, whereas YouTube just doesn't have those limitations, which has been nice, actually. It's a bit more, I feel less constrained into sort of what Twitch expects from me. The ads are better, as in like it's not, Twitch is like you must play ads. Like when I was watching you earlier today, I got like a 2-minute ad out of randomly anywhere, and I was like, this is awful. I remember still.
My choice was I either run and 3 minutes is the smallest commercial block you can run on Twitch.
Really?
So basically, if I don't Yeah, if I don't, and now it's if I go into the back end to the ads manager, and they have like you can choose between like you remember you were on
Yeah.
Twitch. For those of you who don't know, when you're a Twitch streamer, there's an ads manager page,
Yeah.
and you can basically go and then they'll have three little boxes, and they'll say if you play 3 minutes of commercials per hour, you can make up to blah 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 4 minutes blah, blah. So it used to be 1 minute, 2 minutes,
Yeah, I
3 minutes
remember.
used to be the blocks. I now have it on 3. The lowest that they offer is 4. That's how long I've been on 3 minutes. Like right now, if I go to Ads Manager, my choices for ad blocks to run is 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and 6 minutes.
That's insane.
I can't even choose 3 minutes an hour. So my shit's literally grandfathered in. And the only reason that I have it is if you don't choose something like that. So basically, I run 3 minutes of commercials at the top of the hour. If I don't do that, Twitch will just randomly, whenever they want, just pop on like 9 fucking commercials just anytime they want. So like it's literally now it's the lesser of two evils.
God, that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it. I mean, like I said, like I made a ton of YouTube content. And I always ran into problems with my YouTube content of getting reported and demonetized. That happened to me a lot. Like I did a QAnon video and I literally said, like, I was doing pieces much like you where it's well researched. I was using pull quotes from articles, stuff, anything where you make mention of it in the third person, you have to offer it as, some kind of background for it. So it's not just you talking out of your ass. And so I was literally like, it was like a whole QAnon piece. And then there was like some social scientist, and I pulled a quote from him, which was like, it's it's really weird people want to call it a religion when it's just a cult. And I literally got the entire Act TV YouTube channel banned for a week because somebody reported me for calling QAnon a cult.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, are you absolutely nuts? Like, they are a cult. Like, that's literally the definition of a cult is fucking QAnon. And they banned me for a week because it was like fucking hate speech against a marginalized community or something. I was like, are you people high?
I mean, one thing I'd quite like to do is I'd like to come back to Twitch for a specific series of streams where I watch it and I have Twitch on myself, and every time an ad comes up, whatever that thing is advertising, I take that product and relentlessly shit on it for like just a section of time. Just like that becomes the stream, and then the next ad comes up and we move to the next product. I really want to see whether like and like very publicly as well, like going to Twitter and tweeting at the company. I thought that would be quite fun as a thing to do, just to see what happens, really. See if I can cause my own little mini apocalypse. I'm sure everyone will love me.
Good Lord. Well, like I said, I mean, I've thought about trying to like change my stream up so I could simulcast half the stream to YouTube and then maybe second half just do it just on Twitch. Cause I think like, and you've seen my stream. So because I use so much video content and the majority of it comes from YouTube, that I feel like if I rebroadcast to YouTube, I would eventually get kicked for using, other creators' content or copyrighted content.
It's actually
Like,
it's really not too bad.
Even talking about news videos. Like I stuff like even like Kevin Logan got popped like a couple weeks ago for fucking
really?
watching a fucking news video like from the BBC or something.
Oh yeah, no, the BBC. Yeah, they did that to Lonabox as well.
Yeah, but he didn't get popped on Twitch. He only got popped on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I feel like each platform has its own like foibles and pitfalls like that.
Yeah.
And so for me trying to do both, I think would just cause me to shit the bed even worse.
Yeah.
And seeing my fucking stagnant ass channel. So, I don't know that I want to make it worse. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to making YouTube content where I'll make like one YouTube video a week. But now my concern is that it would tread too close to video essay, and I know how everybody other than people who stand video essayists feel about video essayists.
I think, I mean, like if you see our dog pack video on the channel, it's like I literally say this is not, it's not a video essay. It's me. It's essentially a pre-prepared stream segment. It's just me talking, but able to put things up a bit clearer and things. It's almost closer to like the older content that we used to see from back in the day, which I like. I think there's definitely a place for that still, even if it is a dying a dying format, you know?
My original thought was, because I stream 6 hours a day. By the way, for those of you who don't know me, I'm James from the Internet on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/James from the Internet. So I stream 6 hours of like news and politics on the horrible purple network. And like I do a combination, like we'll do articles, we'll do videos, this and that. And so my thought was, if I just did articles for the first 3 hours of the stream, I could multi-stream it, because YouTube wouldn't possibly pop me for reading articles on stream, was my thought. And then just the whole second hour, I would do news videos plus all the other, like, I love like content creators on YouTube. So like, I love like great content, like, Eric puts out a new internet etiquette with Eric. Boom,
Yeah.
I'm there. Like fucking, the second that shit drops, I want to play that. And if I play that and I'm cross streaming, I'm going to get fucking blown off YouTube instantly. So I thought like the best compromise I could come up with was maybe just doing articles first 3 hours for dual stream, and then switching over just to Twitch for the second half.
Yeah, I can see that.
But again, that creates more like pre-production and planning. And again, I worked in TV, so I know what it's like to make rundowns and PRS sheets and runtime sheets and this and that. And part of the reason I do Twitch is so I don't have to do that shit, because I used to work in TV and I don't want to work in TV again. Like, so I got to think about licensing and distribution.
Yeah, and ultimately, like at a certain point, I think streaming should be fun. But okay,
yeah,
I think
is it fun for you now that you're part time?
Oh,
are you
now,
liking it? Like, did it breathe new life into you?
Oh god, yeah. I think I've had more fun doing this channel for like 8 months than at any other point in pissing around on the internet. Genuinely.
Nice.
It's been really cool to find a group of people like who come in. Like tonight, I've got like a decent portion of my normal audience in, but it's not a topic that they know or care about much. They'll still turn up to like watch and hang out, which is awesome. And yeah, just being able to dig into things. I think I had this thing when the PV stuff happened. For those of you who don't know a little bits of my lore, like I fell out with a lot of people during the PV stuff, the progressive victory stuff, where basically we had to prove to people that I was right, and I was, and I continue to be right. I fucking told you so. I started to grow this channel and take it more seriously around that time, because people who were doing bigger numbers than me were kind of little broing me a bit. I won't name names, but there are a few of them, and I'll be honest, it is quite nice to be able to pull better numbers than them as a part-time streamer while this is their job and they've been doing it longer, and apparently I didn't know what I was talking about. And we keep talking about villain arc, like where's your like origin story. A few people really pissed me off during that period, and this channel would probably not be doing as well as it is if they hadn't, frankly. Because I got very annoyed, and I was like, okay, sure. You think you know how to make content, and you're good and entertaining? Well, you're current. Some of those people are sat at like 20, 30 viewers now. So, and I'm partly responsible for that. So, I don't know. Maybe don't bitch at me too much. Would be my message to a few of those people. But yeah, I got
Beckett fan.
I mean, look, I joke when I think I'm still pretty charitable. I'm still pretty fair. I joked about like 3 channels going down because of us. It's because people tried to like op against us, like full on tried to discredit us. And the problem is that we are actually a very, very well researched channel. Which, if you've got skeletons in your closet, probably isn't the people you should be fighting. So that went badly for them. I'm sure like everyone's part of the thing that's really interesting to watch on the internet is kind of like that hard research stuff has disappeared over time, and people now just kind of have opinions and spew them out. So the difference with us is we have a niche of doing research and putting out sort of like heavily researched stuff where we'll spend like 10, 12 hours just to get a Twitter thread out. Our competitors won't do that, which just gives us an advantage. And it really is that simple. And yeah, it's fun to be right, you know. I will admit
Eh,
that. But you know,
no, nice. I'm glad you found a fucking like a niche, like something that like that fit and work. Cause like there's so many people who stream and like they're just like, just head down grinding because they're I just have to do this, I have to do this. And it just totally sucks the fun out of it. So the fact that you're doing well, but you're also like you're doing it on your own terms, your own schedule and stuff you're enjoying, like that's the rare dub being a content creator.
yeah.
Like most content creators are tortured because they're trapped in whatever niche they're stuck in and they all secretly want to be doing something else. So
Yeah, I mean,
the fact that you
I
got to
think I
do
always
something else
wanted to
and it
do
works is
this
nice.
this way. And the big thing is there are just topics that I talk about on this channel that I just couldn't do on Twitch. There are just topics that are too edgy or weird, and I can just take the demonetization because this isn't my paycheck either. I can just go that this video will be demonetized because I played Tim Pool's song at the beginning of it, and I can make that choice to lose the advertising revenue from it and just go, it doesn't matter.
You can't just mute that. You can't just mute that segment on the
I
VOD.
can, but then I lose chat. So if you mute sections on the VOD, you lose chat.
Okay.
And this is how much I love you guys. I would rather make no money from a video or like a stream than remove chat, because I think chat, while I don't have it on screen, is a really essential part of that to read through. I do this. I love watching other people's streams on replay and reading their chat because I think chat's really interesting and really great. So that's why I don't. I'd rather just take the copyright hit.
Nice.
Which is always fun. I was actually going to say as well quickly. You're doing. I mean, you've been doing really well. I think I think you've seen a pickup. And a bit, but it's really consistent. How are you enjoying the election season?
I have a love-hate relationship with election season. As a leftist, I understand like how literal electoral politics actually has to do with what happens, after the election, how it's just all puffery. And I mean, again, I've worked in TV, I've worked on political campaigns. So I'm cursed with a good working knowledge of the, both the overall playing field and then the inner workings of, especially how election season works. But I hate electoral politics. So for me, it's like it's the double-edged sword of I love running numbers. Like I can go through county by county, district by district, and run numbers and give you like a fairly good extrapolation of where vote count's going to go and this and that. Like I very much like I'm math brained, I guess. But the fact that all of these people are absolute garbage, trash ass human beings, like is the counterpoint and the foil to that. Like there are just some people who are like gung ho and they're politicians. They're like, well, I know a lot of politicians suck, but I like blah blah blah, and they're really great. And you're just like, oh, sweet child of summer. Like,
Well, this is what I'm with
bless your heart.
PV. Oh, but yeah, PV is good though. I'd be saying the same things. They're a political org. They have an agenda. They're not randomly spending thousands of dollars, like hundreds of thousands of dollars for fun. They have an agenda. Everyone in politics has an agenda.
Yeah, everybody
Give
does.
us your prediction. I mean, we're coming up to November. Who do you think is going to win?
Today I get asked that question a lot, and the answer I gave everybody in my chat was ask me after Tuesday, because Tuesday night is the first actual debate between Kamala Harris and Trump. And like Harris got her bump from doing the DNC. The Dems overall got a bump for being energized because they stopped running a fucking coma patient as their candidate. So there was a bump like a month ago. I would have told you Trump was going to win going away. Like there were states he was winning by 10 points in polling that are now dead heat. I think much like 2020, it's going to be an election that comes down to 50,000 votes. I mean, Biden won the presidency by roughly 44,000 votes in a country of 330 million people. Like if you think about that, like by ratio, it's a very, very, very small segment. So it's really about it comes down to like what's going to happen in like 25 or 30 different voting districts around the country in 7 states combined. And that's really hard to nail down until you see after debates and then what new local polling looks like afterwards, like what endorsements come down. Like if the if you look at Nevada, Nevada's a 1 point state right now. It's basically a dead even. If the hotel and restaurant workers union backs Kamala Harris, like that's like 1/4 of all the voters in the Las Vegas district, which is the largest district in Nevada. Shit like that it comes down to is really small stuff. Republicans are running a lot of voter suppression in red battleground states where they're getting rid of drop boxes, they're closing voting locations, they're making voting hours smaller. And normally you in a normal election you wouldn't have to worry about it, but if you're talking about a replay of an election where somebody won by 42,000 votes,
Yeah, it
like
matters.
it's really margins. It's you're literally talking a dozen votes here, a dozen votes there can literally be the margin. So for me, I'm like right now, like I even went through all the battleground states today, and every single one of them is polling within 2 points, which is within your variance or your order of error. It's roughly like 3.5% is your wiggle room this far out. As you get closer to the election, it gets tighter. Plus, you get fewer people who say I'm undecided. Like right now, if you look at a lot of states, it'll be like Trump 49, Kamala Harris 45. You look at that and go, oh, look, Trump's winning the state by 4 points in this poll, but there's 6 points undecided.
Yeah.
So that's literally like more than your margin. So I think it's going to be super close. If I had to plunk it down, I would say Kamala Harris probably has the edge right now, but she's also been very shielded from the media. They've been very careful.
And she
She's
doesn't
doing
have a
10 hours
particularly
of
good
debate.
history with media.
She doesn't. She's I made this comment in my channel. We had been talking about this even before Biden dropped out, and we were like, should Biden drop out? If he should, like, and Kamala Harris was the only choice. And I was like, the problem you have with Kamala Harris, speaking solely politically, like as somebody who worked on campaigns and shit, Kamala Harris's two big issues is that she reads as either juvenile and or goofy. Which is weird for, a professional, highly educated woman in her 50s. She has a family, she has kids, she's a very accomplished person. And she'll just like every once in a while, some random weird shit will come out of her mouth. And then she'll like, and she'll laugh about it and it makes it worse. And that's what people like. Nobody, like, you can be consistent for a whole day at work and then fuck something up really bad. And the only thing people remember is you're the guy who fucked up that thing at work. And, it's not like nobody remembers the 7.5 hours of your shift you work clean. They remember the one time you dropped the stack of dishes. Everybody's like, hey, it's the guy who drops the dishes. And you're like, yeah. So this is very much even more magnified because you're in the public eye. So because she's been doing 10 hours of prep a day and they've literally had her packed in bubble wrap, she's done one interview where she had the majority of the questions beforehand. She's only done a couple of rallies and she's doing them with walls. The debate on Tuesday night is just going to be her and Trump alone on a stage.
Yeah.
If she can pull it off and not be goofy Kamala, she's good. If she doesn't,
well, I mean, this time
Trump just starts beating her with the stick again.
Well, I mean, the last time it didn't go well, and Biden dropped out of the race. So, it was God. Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think, interestingly, I wonder how much of the attempted assassination bump is going to carry over. Because against Biden,
nothing.
Well, this is the thing. If it was against Biden, I think it would have won Trump the election. But because Biden dropped out, it shifted the energy and dynamic enough that Kamala stands a chance.
See, I actually think that it gave him was a bump with his base, and that doesn't matter because his base is rabid anyway. I don't think there were fucking undecided or fringe voters who were like, oh my God, somebody shot at Donald Trump. Well, now I'm going to vote for this guy. Like, I think there's absolutely zero bump the assassination attempt gave him, other than, within people who are 95% going to show up to vote for him anyway.
Yeah.
Like, like, and the myth of the independent voter is nil. And again, it's different here in the States because you guys have more than one party and nobody carries the majority. You get coalition parties, coalition governments, because we're all or nothing. We're purposely duopoly. So everything now is just completely fucking, diametric opposition. There's no middle, there's no side left, there's no side. So everything's all or nothing now because the duopoly is purposeful. And this is how our politics and our national ideologies have been developed generation after generation. And now we're like at the really like hyper fucking worst part of it. There are no undecided voters in America. There are voters who are undecided as to whether or not they're actually going to go out and pull the lever. But I don't think anybody's sitting around going, gee, I don't know. Donald Trump, he's a fascist. But he says weird things. And, Joe Biden wants to give everybody free shit, but he's senile. Like, I don't think anybody was sitting at home, like, trying to figure out the calculus. Like, and again, because we live in a purposeful duopoly, so our entire society is bifurcated like that, where it's just like, this is the logical, like, societal conclusion that you were going to get with, 4 generations of purposeful duopoly. Like, we're socially engineered to be where we're at. So, once again, it's going to be another election that comes down to 40,000 votes, and then everybody's going to sue everybody else, and, society's going to melt down. And all of this is irrelevant because the day that Donald Trump dies, like, that dude could die on a live TV interview, like eating a fucking Big Mac and like choke on the air and go, and then like keel over, and like 5 million hogs would be like, the deep state just killed Donald Trump. Like, it doesn't matter. The day Donald Trump dies, no matter how he dies, dude, hogs are going to light everything on fire. They're going to go full purge. Because no matter how he dies, it's going to be the deep state.
So are you saying that the Civil War is coming?
Well, no, I don't think it's a civil war because I think hogs are hilarious. They're always like, yeah, we own all the guns, brother. And it's like, cool. Hey, you know what? The U.S. government owns Reaper drones there, Cletus. Oh, wow, I'm so glad you feel big dick because you own a 50 cal. Have you ever seen a fucking Sidewinder missile coming at you at 700 miles an hour? Just curious. Hey, is the bunker you built under your shed in the backyard? Yeah, how's it going to hold up to 83 pounds of C4 dropped on you from a helicopter? Just curious, mister. We're going to do the revolution. Like,
sure.
Dude, come on. Let's be honest, man. Like, Reaper drones versus Cletus with 13 guns in his basement.
Hey, we started this by saying that Tim Pool attached live streaming equipment to a homemade, like a RC helicopter. You never fucking know.
He did.
You never know.
You never know, but no, it's yeah, ask me again on Tuesday. Like, if you get a real hankering to plug into like the electoral politics like the week before the election or something, you want to holler at me, I'm more than happy to talk about it. Like,
I'll be honest.
I'm simultaneously disgusted by it while I like math. So.
I think if the debate is interesting, I'll cover the debate. But I also think, I'll be honest with you, like, it's not something I'm eager to dip my toe into, and I mean, it's an.
I don't blame you.
Nauseating. I think I like the idea of having a space where people can come to. I think this is the most politics that's ever been discussed on this channel, so well done.
Hey, look, I hate politics, and I would, dude, if I could pivot away from politics and not lose everything, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'm not even joking. I say this at least once a week on stream, like dead serious. I would do anything. I would just sit around and make fart noises with my.
Just got an image of you buying a lathe and just becoming a wood turning creator.
Oh,
I found its log.
I want to get a acetylene torch and just randomly weld shit. It's modern sculpture. It's just me stoned with a torch. Like, that's all. But I got to wear the welder's mask so you can't tell. Literally, I will do anything. Anything. Doesn't matter what it is, man. If I get away with it and it's not talking about news, ripping out my soul every day, yeah. I would be on that shit like white on rice, dude. I look at those people who stream fucking Fortnite, and I'm like, you know how sick they have to be of playing fucking Fortnite? Playing that goddamn same game 8 hours a day, every day?
That's why Wings of Redemption went insane, you know. Stop recommending games to me! I'll play what I want to play!
Dude, it happened. I think everybody when they stream eventually hits a snap point. I'm curious what mine's gonna be.
I'll say
Like,
I did
I
do
haven't
this
hit
one
it yet.
thing. I was gonna cover Yandere Dev, and the tweets underneath it, the comments underneath it were bit late. Oh, the British guy's late. He's late to the stream. This topic's dead. Why are you doing it? And I got so annoyed at the amount of comments that I changed the thumbnail. I said, "Oh, late are we? Oh, I'm late to a topic. Let's talk about a lolcow from Encyclopedia Dramatica that no one has ever heard of and disappeared in 2015. I'll show you what late looks like. Tell me what content to fucking do."
The cycle of scoring continues. Streamers and their communities.
Fucking late.
It's a never-ending tug of war of spite. I love it. Okay, well then, you know what? I correct my last statement. Yo, if you ever want to bring me on to talk about anything that's not news and politics, I'm there. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be great. Because I mean, we've both been
Yeah,
kicking around for a long time, and I'd love to talk about like there's just some few interesting people. And yeah, I'd be down for that. It's been a little while, but I love hanging out with you. It's great.
Yeah.
Which is why this
yeah,
has fucking. I was like, I should keep things focused on Tim Pool, but it's just good to talk to you, man. Honestly, it's always fun.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, being able to just talk about something where I'm not ranting and raving is delightful. Is this how normal people do stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
A left news streamer is basically who can yell and project spittle into the fucking microphone the most.
Yeah, I mean, I again, the last topic I've been doing, the dog pack stuff, somebody was like, "Are you actually annoyed?" I was like, "Yes, I'm actually pissed off." So it was quite nice to just come and do Tim tonight, because I was like, "Oh God, thanks." Because I dropped out of the Mr. Beast topic because I was like, the people who've stayed on it have got a lot of views and a lot of viewership, but I'm like, I don't want to. I hit the point with the topic where I was like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm bored. And I tend to do like 1 to 3 streams on a topic, with the exception of art commentary, because all of it's so fucking fascinatingly insane. But generally speaking, I'll do like 1 or 2 streams on something and then be done with that for like a month. Because it's just, otherwise I'll just lose my mind. I'm just like, I can't talk about this every fucking day.
Like half an hour before I went to stream today on Twitch, I looked over to the left side of everybody I follow, everybody who was currently broadcasting. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you there were 15 different streamers I follow who had Dr. Disrespect in their title. And I was like, cool, now I know what I'm definitely not going to talk about at all today.
I was watching show James Lio Convoy. I may show you Lio Convoy. You'll love Lio Convoy content. But yeah, I was watching Chud cover Dr. Disrespect, and I'm in two minds. I was actually thinking like what I might do is do like a members, like a stream that's very short and goes members only on it, just reacting to his, because it is insane. Like it is. I can understand why everyone's covering it. His response has been completely fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I was watching Chud going over it.
There's somebody else who doesn't listen to their lawyer.
Yeah. It's just like, and there are certain topics where I'm like, I understand why you're covering it. Like when I moved over to commentary, everyone was talking about Mama Max, and I didn't do any Mama Max coverage. And the reason I didn't do it was because everyone who I was talking with and friends with was covering it, so I only knew about it through them because I'd never looked at it. So by the time it started to really hit and he was falling apart, it was like, I've done none of the work for this. You guys have done the work. I don't want to jump on your bandwagon, and that's how I felt about it. But I'll be honest with you, 2024 has been the most insane year I think ever. Everything is week after week of massive creators, long-term creators burning their careers to the ground, and I've never seen it like this. 2025 is going to be boring because there's going to be no one fucking left. Everyone.
You would think that, but diffusion and osmosis, basic ass shit, will tell you that if you have a bunch of solid objects that appear from a gelatinous field, other solid objects will form in those spaces. This is just the nature of organisms. There will always be the next Dr. Disrespect. There will always be the next XQC. There will always be the next Hassan. because it's the ecosystem breeds out the spaces in the environment, and then existing people will just fill them. That's just. Haven't you ever been on Twitch and you see like when people are off and there will be somebody who's streaming and their title is blah 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 refugees in. Because oh, your favorite streamer isn't streaming. Hold on, I'm streaming. And we'll put their name in my title so you know. And then eventually that person phases out and somebody else just kind of it's the nature of the beast. How many fucking people have become huge in the last few years who weren't huge?
Yeah, my new favorite thing.
Remember...
Go on.
Go ahead.
Well, my new favorite thing.
No, I was going to say the Dr. K thing, but go ahead.
Yeah,
yours, and then we'll talk about Dr. K.
My favorite thing is finding a small person who's crazy at the moment, and like picking at them, so they go crazy, and then leaving them alone so they have time to recover. And my new project is trying to find one of these people and grow them. That's the goal. I want them to get big enough that the ego explodes, so that it's kind of like, it's literally farming at this point. I want to sow the fields, and then we'll come back in like 2 years' time, and I'll be like, right.
But do you really want to be the guy who fucking like turns on Frankenstein's monster and then just leaves and then comes back 2 years later and goes, "Hey, wow, who ate all the villagers?" Yeah. You want to be that guy? Like,
I want somebody one day to make a lore video on me where they go, so listen, there was this guy named Beckett. He was an asshole. You have no idea how much chaos he's actually responsible for. He is the villain of YouTube. That's what I want. I want my legacy to be like one of the children of one of those villagers being like, this guy inadvertently ruined my life. I full villain arc.
My legacy's gonna be like. I feel like my legacy's gonna be like, oh wait, he died. Oh, thank God, he's gonna finally shut the fuck up. Like, so I feel. So anyway, yeah, Dr. K. This is my great example of like, okay, Dr. K. Fucking that guy was around for a hot minute. He did all this quacky fucking Ayurveda shit. He got absolutely wiped out, and then fucking discount Richard Branson fucking brought him back from the dead. And now that motherfucker does 300,000 concurrents on Twitch when he streams, and he does medical advice shows, and you're just like, holy crap. Like, so there's always a void, and it's just a question if people can organically fill it, or if they're going to get backfilled by the other people who have fucking, large followings and stroke. Because like Dr. K doesn't, become the fucking, the Dr. Q&A guy with 300,000 concurrent viewers. If fucking, Dan Clancy, discount Richard Branson doesn't fucking push him and then put him on the front page every time he's open. Other times it's just like somebody is streaming in somebody else's wake and then gets huge. Like Hassan, for as huge as he was on Facebook when he was Hassan Piker on Facebook, his videos were enormous. They were always like in the top 10 videos of the entire platform for the week, even though it was news related and it was specific. Like he blew the fuck up. He doesn't blow up on Twitch without fucking, the 2 years of Destiny interaction. And that was literally like, monster creates monster. But because there was void and spaces for both of those people within the same environment, they were able to grow to the size of the gap of the environment. So as fucking a big person drops out, 3 or 4 people who are semi-large become large, or one person who is large becomes huge and fills the space. It's just environment, basic like societal environmental shit. See, there you go. There's me acting like I know stuff.
No, I mean, you know me, I like the kind of breakdowns of like the ecosystem breakdowns. I enjoy that. I mean, it's the core of lore. You to understand the people, you have to understand the environment, and how people build that environment. Okay, I am going to read some super chats. We've been going for like 3 hours. This has been great. We'll talk. And I can see people suggesting things like Brian Mullins and things. Maybe it'd be a fun stream of teach James from the internet about the insane people I cover, and to give you a new appreciation for politics. I'll revitalize you, and it'll be like, I just want to talk about Trump. I just want to talk about Trump now. I never, Beckett, where'd you find these people? It'd be good fun. But thank you very much for.
Can I give you a lolcow on the end for something for you to, if you get really bored and you need content? I have a guy for you. Somebody else, either he write it or somebody else check it out. If you're looking for a really, really, really good deep dive of somebody who's had like 6 different wild ass lives and just keeps popping up, you need to look into a man named Jomo Johnson.
Jomo Johnson.
Jomo. Jomo Johnson.
Interesting.
Dude, you will thank me. This is a rabbit hole you will spend hours on. Trust me. You will thank me for this. This isn't like a Twitch person or a YouTube person. You will go when you like run into this deep dive and you see how deep this well of shit runs. You're gonna be like, I'm coded in shit and I love it.
Okay,
you're just gonna be at the bottom of the well.
That sounds. Yeah, that sounds solid. That sounds like my kind of content. I love that shit.
See? I'm thinking of you, man. That's what I do.
We need to game. If you get Space Marine 2, we'll also game together. Get Space Marine 2.
Sweet.
Really good.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, as always, a pleasure to see you again, bro. And I will talk to you before long. Thank you so much, and have an awesome night.
Play nice there, man. Everybody, have a good evening. I will see you around, Beckett.
Take care, man. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
All right, cheers. Peace.
Can Braindead, can you post James from the Internet's Twitch channel and YouTube if you can find it in chat? God, fucking, I love James. I need more of James from the Internet. I need to read some fucking live chat, super chats as well, because thank you guys. You have been very nice as always. As always, where are we? I think I missed some as well. From Getza Berries with the 2. Get AC yet? I have not. I suck. They're really expensive as well, and also now it's not as hot, and I feel less incentivized. Mr. Braindead, I read yours. Tell them about the time you almost ended up working with Tim Pool. Thank you for the 5. Getzer with another 5. This is why I avoid political channels. Every time I go looking, so many people seem crazy. Like last time I watched, I had the taste of aneurysm on my tongue. I know how you feel. That's why we do predominantly drama here. Thank you guys for your patience tonight. Ellington with the 5. I'd offered to send you my grandpa's Rush Limbaugh tie if I didn't like it so damn much. Never passed with that. That is based. I have some really nice silk ties and things. I was thinking of doing like a video essay of like me dressed nicely as well. We'll see. We'll see in the effort I put in. Thank you for the 5. Ellington with another 2. Sped Sheeran's heckle is giving him money. That is true. Love all you guys. Another 2 from Ellington. Please convince Brian Mullins to live stream. That would be fucking incredible content. Brain Dead 5. You're not the villain. I seeded too much. I seeded so much for this into your head and was the true architect. I'm the one pulling the strings. Brain Dead, for those who don't know, Brain Dead is like insanely connected to like old school internet stuff. It is actually fucking wild. Like with a lot of older things. There were a couple of things I really wanted to show you because they're interesting, and I don't have as much time as I'd like to go through them all, but I feel like for those of you who haven't seen these before, they're worth viewing. I firstly want to show you. This is all Tim Bull stuff. I want to show you what Tim looked like when he was happy, okay? This is Tim as like a teenager happy, okay? It is fucking crazy.
Yes.
How crazy is that? It's just a skateboarding video. I think that's so lovely. He became such a fucking monster. There you go. This was a good chat. I've been lurking here. Yeah, I know it's a bit outside the normal stuff we do, and it's much more politics than I normally like to do. But for James gets the exception where he can come and talk about politics on my channel because it's James. I saw Thuman posting earlier about like being addicted to gacha machines. I hope you're alright, Thuman. He's like, I've been waiting to ask James from the internet whether he's like started smoking again for like 8 months, because I used to joke at him constantly that he's like a quitter and therefore a letdown to all of us. I want to be that funky little dude skating. Well, let's talk about how that funky little dude has turned out, because is it this one? This fucking clip.
Something in a little more detail that we were talking about in the show that I think didn't get fleshed out enough. So, and I'll preface it by saying I do not believe I face more discrimination than black people in this country.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is,
You know, any clip beginning with, I'll preface it with, I don't believe I face more discrimination than black people in this country, is going to be a fucking banging clip. I fucking love Timpool content.
one of the difficulties in my life is people who grow up in a white suburb. Everybody's white. I go there, I'm not white.
I don't believe that.
Well, so you're wrong, but let me
I
explain.
don't believe that. I think somebody might. You just said on the last show that like some people mistaked you for Mexican. That was your biggest.
I'm not
thing.
one of them, dude.
I
Like, this is the life I've lived.
Yeah, you're fine.
I don't. I'm not saying that I've got a boot on my neck.
You're
I'm
fine.
saying
We're
you
in
need to
a-
understand.
We're in a redneck,
that there are people
we're in
who
a
have
redneck area. If we go up to the truck stop up the block, nobody's looking at you like, get that guy. You know.
I didn't say they were.
Yeah, but
Soyatul, I was talking about you to somebody today, by the way. I need to. You and I need a chat. It's a good chat. James just left. He literally just left Soyatul. How you doing, bro? Hope you're good.
But what I'm saying is, if you put
Just
somebody
wind
else
it
there,
back.
they're
There's
looking
like
at you
3
funny.
hours of
If you're
James
going to the
content.
airport, they're not pulling you over because
No. That's bullshit.
They pull you over?
Yes!
Because you look like what? Because you
Yes,
look like
motherfucker.
What do you look like?
I get
motherfucker?
randomly flagged every fucking time I go to the airport.
The angry Timpool fighting about his time in the white suburbs as a gangster. God, I hate this guy so much. Okay, what was the last one I wanted to show you? So I think we've covered most of the things that I wanted to really go over. Oh yeah, this one.
Okay.
This is Timpool's sister. Now, I'm not going to play all of this. I just want to make you guys aware of it. For those of you who really want to understand Timpool, I think this is a really interesting video. This is his sister basically making a video about her brother to her brother and wanting him back as a person.
You guys can hear me okay. I'm gonna do these dishes. I don't like doing dishes, and I find it very boring, so at least I can tell you guys what happened while I do the dishes. So, I know I put a video up on my TikTok kind of explaining some of it, right? So, last year, October, some stuff happened, and I had to just up and go. I was living here in Illinois, and
Which, again, no production value, very simple. But I think this is a really important video to understanding, Tim. So those I want to show you at the end. We're at like 3 hours, which has been awesome, actually. Now, I like to separate my streams out. And I mentioned to James that I was thinking about going over the Dr. Disrespect thing. I'm in two minds, so I'm actually going to ask you guys in chat. If I started another stream going over Dr. Disrespect and the Dr. Disrespect stuff, I'll do a quick little setup for it. We'll use the same thumbnail essentially, and then I'll make another one and it can go members only when it's done. Would that be fun? Do you guys want to see me like go over the Dr. Disrespect stuff? Are you interested? You can get like another hour of Beckett time because I want to talk about it a little bit because I've watched it now like twice. I'm kind of a little bit interested. I basically just raid you into another stream, and then like this is like the laziest way to do VODs. But it's been a while since we've done any members content, and while it wouldn't be like members for you guys, if you're here live, at least you get something. So, yeah, if you guys are interested, sure that'd be a fun bit. More Beckett time, yeah. Okay. I need to set up another stream, so you're gonna have to bear with me while I set up another stream and sort of talk amongst yourselves. We're already watching niche internet stuff some of us have no interest or understanding of. Yes, we'll watch more back here. Thank you, Maui. Now recording tomorrow. That's very true. Cool. We have now recording tomorrow. I'm trying to remember what's on the docket. So much has happened this week. So much has happened this week. Okay, I need to go to YouTube Studio. Need to have a whole nother stream. To do this. Schedule stream. New settings. Need a generic. Did I even put the right thumbnail in for this? Yeah, I did. I did. Give me 2 seconds. Thank you for your patience while we do Dr. Disrespect. Change. And it gives me time to run downstairs and get a drink. I'd work out the fuck I'm doing. We're not even gonna have a thumbnail for this, are we? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doc this bonus stream. And we'll set that for live in, say, 15 minutes? 3:30? Yeah? Yeah. That's what we'll do. Have you seen the Nikocado avocado thing? Yes, I'm going to talk about that. I'm actually probably going to grab somebody to do that with me. And that person is probably going to be maybe Thuman, actually, if she's interested. Because I am very interested in that stuff. So, because there's some crazy stuff with that. So, okay, is this gonna work? Is it gonna raid you in? I'm also gonna post it in the chat so you can see that it does exist. And I'm going to send you there. This is so dumb. For the bonus stream that we're gonna do, okay? Because I need to do setup and things. Save. Yeah, save. Awesome. Right. Thank you so much for everyone. To everyone from James from the Internet's audience. James from the Internet is great. It is so good to talk to him again. It has been lovely having you all here tonight. It's been a real pleasure. I will see you at the next stream in about 15 minutes. where we're gonna have some fun and chill out and do something cool. Okay, it's gonna be great. I need to sort things out. I need a break. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you in 15. Awesome.